Welcome back to the channel. This is Trendy Storm and you're watching What If Naruto Was Saved by Sonic. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to this channel. Not wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Two figures, one of whom was a male fox with yellow fur and a white robe with the words, Yandaime Hokage, written in kanji on the back, were speaking somewhere in a white void. The other was a female fox wearing a colorless robe and pink fur. The second one is not Kushina, but the first one is unquestionably Minato. I have faith in that Naruto can gain control over Kyuubi's chakra and defeat Madara, the fox's male companion replied. Of course you have faith in your son, you wouldn't be a good parent if you didn't, but I have a feeling that even with Kurama's chakra, he won't be able to win, the female fox stated, perplexing the male. How can Kyuubi's chakra not be enough? He's the most powerful creature alive, the man argued. The woman looked to her left and held out her arm before saying, Kurama might currently be the strongest creature in your universe, but there are still forces out there that would make Kurama seem like nothing by comparison. Suddenly, a swirling pink vortex appeared in front of them, and she said, Don't worry, I've got someone in mind that can help him. She then passed through the vortex before it vanished. A certain blue hedgehog entered his room in his home somewhere on the planet Mobius. However, he was about to pass his manga collection when he heard a female voice. Sonic.Kun, the hedgehog, who was now known as Sonic, turned to listen for the source of the voice. Sonic.Kun, over here. Then Sonic noticed that the voice was coming from his manga collection and turned to look at it. As Sonic approached the books, he remarked, Okay, that's weird. Suddenly, one of the books leapt out of the collection, landed in his hand, and opened itself. He said, and that's even weirder. Then, as the voice said, Sonic.Kun, you're needed in the world of Shinobi, he was abruptly drawn into the book. Sonic got to his feet and looked around after realizing that he was in the middle of a forest when he opened his eyes. He looked up at the night sky and asked himself, Where am I? A voice in his mind said, This is the village of Konoha, in the world of Shinobi. He asked softly, The village of Konoha, since he could not see any villages nearby, though they might be right behind the trees. Sonic went to investigate after hearing voices in the distance. As Sonic leapt over a downed tree, a boy-like voice said, Hey, I guess you have me. Too bad you were so fast. I've only memorized one jutsu. Another voice, but this one sounded like it belonged to an adult, said, You look exhausted. What have you been doing? As Sonic ran up the side of a tree, the boy said, Wait till I show you. I never dreamed, some of the shinobi arts are so amazing. If I show I've mastered these jutsus, you'll have to let me graduate. Sonic then stopped at a branch and leapt over to another branch. Naruto, mentioned the man, and the boy said, Yeah. The man asked, What's up with that scroll you're carrying? As Sonic leapt to a different branch, then landed on the ground and ran on. As Sonic approached their location, the boy exclaimed, What? This? Mizuki. Sensei told me about it. And about this place. He said if I could show you I'd learned the jutsus in this scroll you'd let me become a shinobi. He looked up to see that someone had landed on one of the branches before hurling multiple kunai at the conversational pair. After pushing the boy aside, the man allowed the kunai to strike him, pushing him in the direction of a small house. With the exception of a tusk of brown hair that rose up his forehead and a peculiar headband bearing the image of a leaf directly underneath, the man appeared to be a hedgehog that resembled Sonic. In addition, he wore a black uniform underneath and a green flak jacket. In addition to wearing an orange jumpsuit with blue shoulders and a red spiral on the back, the boy, who resembled a small fox with two tails, had goggles on his forehead. With two large shuriken on his back, the wolf who had thrown the kunai was dressed similarly to the hedgehog. Sonic recognized the traitor Drago Wolf, his best friend Miles, Tails, Prower, and his father Jules Hedgehog. However, that was impossible because Drago was dead, Tails wouldn't be duped that easily, and his father was roboticized. No, Sonic had encountered similar situations in the past, such as being trapped in a book with nearly all of the characters resembling people he knew. The Drago impersonator remarked, I'm impressed that you figured out where to go. Now I understand, exclaimed the Jules impersonator as he began to extract the kunai from his body. The Drago impersonator looked down at the Tails impersonator and said, The scroll, Naruto. Give it to me. Dude. I mean, come on. Hey. What is this? screamed the Tails impersonator, who was now recognized as Naruto. Don't let him have it, Naruto. Protect that scroll with your life. It's more dangerous than you can imagine. It holds a record of a completely forbidden ninja art. Mizuki used you because he wants it for himself. The Jules impersonator exclaimed as he produced another kunai. The Drago impersonator, now known as Mizuki, exclaimed, Naruto, even if you've read it, it will still be meaningless. I can show you what it means. Shish. Shut up, you fool, exclaimed the Jules impersonator. You know what really happened in the incident where the Kyuubi no Yoko was sealed up again 12 years ago, don't you? Since that incident, the people of our village have been bound by the strictest decree. Mizuki replied. Naruto remarked, I don't remember any decree. You wouldn't? Part of the decree was that everyone would know about it, except you, said Mizuki. Mizuki burst out laughing as Naruto questioned, except me? Why not me? What law are you talking about? What was the decree? What? That no one must ever tell you, that what you really are, is the Kyuubi no Yoko, said Mizuki. Unbelieving what he was hearing, Naruto questioned, what? What are you talking about? Stop! Shouted the Jules impersonator. It was you who murdered Iruka's family. In other words, you are the Kyuubi no Kitsune that destroyed the village, until, at last, our beloved hero, the Yondaime Hokage, trapped and bound you, in this form. Mizuki responded. The Jules impersonator shouted, stop it, with all of his might. As he removed one of the two shurikens from his back and began spinning it, Mizuki screamed, since then, you've been made a fool of by everyone in town. Didn't you think it was strange? To be so despised, everywhere you went? If you were honest, even the noble Iruka would admit he hates you, too. Naruto. You've never experienced parental love. Our entire village has avoided you since the day you were born. The idea of Jules looking alike. Mizuki screamed, no one will ever accept you, just before he threw the shuriken. Attention, not love, was the best you could ever hope for, and you could only obtain that by engaging in risky behavior, and you showed no concern. As long as it meant that someone was listening to you, you were ready to take any criticism or condemnation, the Jules-like thought. Mizuki threw the shuriken at Naruto and yelled, that scroll that you've stolen, it was the instrument for your bondage. Naruto, you gave a fantastic performance, but it was all a lie to cover up your pain and loneliness. As he prepared to block the shuriken with his own body as a shield, the Jules impersonator thought, but then an unexpected event occurred. Sonic grabbed the shuriken and held it in front of him while glancing up at Mizuki through the center hole and then over his shoulder. Before turning to face the man who resembled his father, Sonic said, you all right? Good. I suggest that you take this little guy here and leave. The Jules impersonator nodded, hurried over, lifted Naruto up on his back, and fled. He had no idea who this new guy was, but he must have had some shinobi training because he was able to catch Mizuki's shuriken with ease. Sonic laughed as Mizuki questioned, who are you and why are you covering for the demon? The hedgehog remarked, hey, I really wonder who the real demon here is. What are you talking about? That boy you just let get away is the demon, Mizuki replied. Before hurling the shuriken at Mizuki, Sonic remarked, you can't judge anyone before you get to know them. However, the wolf just avoided it. With Iruka and Naruto, the Jules impersonator was racing toward the village in order to rescue the two-tailed fox and then come back to assist, but that other hedgehog was in the way. Iruka simply nodded when Naruto asked in a low voice, is it true, Iruka? Sensei? Then all the things that Mizuki said are true? Even you hate me? Maybe there was such a time, Iruka began, but Naruto cut him off before he could say anything more. Then it's true, you do hate me, Naruto exclaimed, his eyes welling with tears. Naruto's eyes widened as Iruka exclaimed, but that was before I got to know you, almost no exception to the rule that people fear the unknown. Before putting his feet on his sensei back and taking off, Naruto remarked, but you still hated me, just like everyone else. He then spun around in midair, spinning his twin tails as he flew back towards where Mizuki and that hedgehog were. The sensei called out to Naruto, Naruto, come back, but Naruto simply flew farther away. Alongside Sonic and Mizuki when Sonic ducked another kunai and leapt up on the house's roof just as Naruto came back and hit the ground, Mizuki thought, he's fast, I'll give him that. Naruto looked up at Sonic, who looked down at him and asked, "Are you all right?" Sonic said, Hey. You don't have to worry about me. I've faced guys that would make that guy seem like an insect by comparison." Mizuki cast the second large shuriken after grinning at the hedgehog's lowering of his defenses. "Hey, don't let your guard down like that. You have no way of blocking it, and it's too late to avoid it." As the shuriken came within seconds of severing Sonic in two, Mizuki pondered. Sonic glanced at the shuriken, which was now so close that he could breathe on it, as Naruto yelled, "Look out!" But then he was gone. What? Did he disappear? However, how? Mizuki pondered. As Mizuki turned around, he noticed Sonic standing on a branch above him, saying, "You haven't even started to see my true speed yet." Before Sonic disappeared once more and then reappeared in front of Mizuki with his foot implanted in her stomach, Naruto cried out, "That was awesome." The Chunin was sent flying down to Naruto, who then swiftly made a hand gesture just as Iruka entered the clearing. At least 1,000 clones of the fox appeared when Naruto called out the name of his newest jutsu, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. After that, Sonic mentally noted that he should learn that tactic and apply it to RO. But Nick in the future. The clones quickly killed the wolf, and Sonic and Iruka watched as they did so. Fantastic. In addition to creating 1,000 Bunshins, he gave them physical form rather than a spectral illusion. Ninjutsu of that quality is the best. If one day he truly does prove to be superior to any previous Hokage, I wouldn't be shocked, Iruka pondered. Naruto said, "Hey. I guess I got carried away. Seems that way. I'm Sonic, by the way." "Sonic the Hedgehog," said Sonic. As Iruka walked up to them, Naruto said, "The name's Uzumaki Naruto, nice to meet ya." Naruto followed Iruka's instructions when she said, "Naruto, I've got a present for you, now close your eyes." After a short while, Naruto said, "Now, Sensei, may I?" Iruka said, "Yes, Naruto. You can open your eyes." When Naruto opened his eyes, he saw that Iruka Sensei was holding Naruto's goggles and was not wearing his Hite.8. When Naruto discovered that his sensei had given him his own Hite.8, Iruka exclaimed, "Congratulations, graduate. To celebrate this, I'll take you out. We can go for ramen." Then Naruto leapt to his feet and embraced his father figure before they both collapsed to the ground. Hokage Tower and Konoha Iruka also chose to give Sonic ramen as a reward for helping him fight Mizuki. He claimed that Sonic was shocked to see that Tucci, the owner of the ramen stand, resembled his own uncle, Charles Chuck Hedgehog. Sonic was then taken to the Hokage Tower to meet with Sarutobi Hiruzen, the Sandaime Hokage. He was taken aback to see the elderly Hokage because he resembled King Maximilian Acorn. Hiruzen inquired, "Is your name Sonic?" Sonic replied, "Yes." Hiruzen said, "And may I ask where you're from?" "I doubt you've heard of it, but I'm from a city called New Mobotropolis," Sonic replied. "You're right, I haven't heard of it, but why are you here in Konoha and what are your intentions?" replied Hiruzen. Sonic stated, "I love to travel." "I see. But you handled yourself pretty well against a skilled Chunin like Mizuki. No normal person could do that." Hiruzen replied. Sonic said, "I know how to fight, is all. Now was all." "Yes, you may go." Sonic exited the office faster than anyone could say, "Chili dog," after saying that. However, a female squirrel with pink fur suddenly materialized in front of Hiruzen just as the door was closing. The woman exclaimed, "Sandaime Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen, I presume." According to Hiruzen, "Yes, and you are," the woman stated, "My identity doesn't matter right now." Hiruzen inquired, "What is it that you want?" "I want you to recruit Sonic.kun as a genin of this village and put him on the same team as Naruto.kun," the woman replied. "And why's that?" responded Hiruzen. Before vanishing as if she had never been there, the woman said, "All I can tell you now is that it's part of a plan laid out by me and your Yondaime." Monument to Hokage. As Sonic lay on the Yondaime's head, gazing up at the sky, he felt something and saw a purple chameleon that he knew was Espio the chameleon. Except that he was dressed in a Chunin, Jonin uniform and his Hite.8 covered his left eye diagonally over his head. His face was concealed by a mask as well. According to the Espio impersonator, who sat down beside Sonic, "So you're Sonic the Hedgehog, huh?" Sonic said, "That's right, and you are?" Before glaring down at Sonic, the SBO impersonator announced, "I'm Hitaki Kakashi. It seems that Hokage Sama would like to recruit you as a Konoha Genin. If you're interested, come to the roof of the Ninja Academy in 1 week to meet your teammates." Kakashi then laid down a Hite.8 and quietly left. A week later, Ninja Academy Sonic found the Ninja Academy with ease, and once he reached the roof, he simply laid down and did what he detested most. Wait. Naturally, he was wearing the Hite.8, but he tied it around his right bicep rather than placing it on his forehead. After a long wait, Kakashi eventually arrived with Naruto and 2 more people who appeared to be acquaintances of Sonic's. One of them was a black hedgehog wearing white shorts, a Konoha Hite.8 on his forehead, and a blue T-shirt with a red and white fan on the back. She wore her Hite.8 in her hair like a ribbon, and the other one was a pink hedgehog dressed in red. Naruto saw the hedgehog and said, "Huh, Sonic.san, what are you doing here?" Kakashi sat down on the fence in front of the 4 genin and said, after hearing what Sonic.san did, "Hokage Sama recruited him as a genin. Now I'd like you to tell us a little about yourselves," he said. "Like what?" inquired the Amy impersonator. "You know. The usual. Your favorite thing, what you hate the most, dreams, ambitions, hobbies. Things like that." Kakashi responded. "Help us out here, coach. You go first. Show us how it's done," Naruto replied. The Amy impersonator remarked, "That's right, after all, you're a complete stranger to us, a mystery." "Oh, me? My name is Hitaki Kakashi. I'm the kind of person who doesn't feel like talking about his likes and dislikes. My dreams for the future are none of your business, but anyway, I have lots of hobbies," Kakashi replied. The Amy impersonator whispered to the other 3 genin, "Hey, he said a lot, but all we really learned was his name. Now, it's your turn, starting with you on the right," said Kakashi. "Name's Sonic the Hedgehog. What I like are chili dogs, A.N. We know. Running and adventure. What I dislike is a guy named R.O. But, Nick. My dreams for the future, haven't really thought about that. My hobbies are running and beating up bad guys," Sonic replied. According to Kakashi, "I see, next. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. What I like is instant cup ramen. What I like even more is when Iruka Sensei treats me to ramen at Ichiraku. What I hate is the 3-minute wait after I pour in the boiling water. My dream is to one day," began Naruto. Kakashi thought, he seems to be thinking only about ramen. "Become Hokage, and then all the villagers will have to acknowledge my existence at last," Naruto went on. Well, Kakashi thought, hasn't he turned out interesting? Naruto concluded, "My hobbies are pranks and practical jokes, I guess." Kakashi said, "Next." The shadow lookalike, now recognized as Sasuke, said, "My name is Uchiha Sasuke. There are plenty of things I hate, but I don't see that it matters, considering there is almost nothing I like. It seems pointless to talk about dreams. That's just a word. But what I have is determination. I'm going to restore my clan, and there's someone I have sworn to kill." As she spoke, various thoughts passed through everyone else's minds. Sasuke.kun is really awesome, the idea of looking like Amy. He really does resemble Shadow in appearance, behavior, and speech. In fact, their personalities are exactly the same, Sonic pondered. Indeed, Naruto hoped it wasn't him. After giving it some thought, Kakashi said, "And finally, the young lady." The Amy impersonator, now known as Sakura, said, "I am Haruno Sakura. My favorite thing is, well, it's not a thing, it's a person. A boy, and that boy is," as she turned to face Sasuke and blushed before continuing, let's move on to my dream." She then blushed even more before exclaiming, "I hate Naruto." "What?" shouted Naruto. Sakura turned to face Sasuke and remarked, "My hobbies are." After reflecting, Kakashi remarked, "Enough. I believe we all understand one another. Formal training begins tomorrow." It seemed that young girls were more interested in love than ninjutsu. As he saluted, Naruto thought, "Yes, sir. What will our duties be? This is our first real shinobi mission. Our first project involves only the members of this team," said Kakashi. As Naruto put it, what is it?" he said, "Survival exercises." Sonic inquired, "Survival exercises? But why would that be a mission? Our school days were full of survival training, Sakura replied. But you'll have to survive, against me. It won't be your typical practice, Kakashi replied. Naruto said, well, then, what kind of practice will it be? And Kakashi laughed. Sakura questioned, what are you laughing about, Kakashi, sensei? Oh, nothing. It's just that if I told you, you'd chicken out, Kakashi replied. Naruto said, chicken out, why? 3 of the genin gulped as Kakashi explained, of the 27 members of your graduation class, only 9 will actually be accepted as genin. The other 18 must go back for more training. The test we are about to perform has a 66% rate of failure. Sonic became even more excited. Kakashi exclaimed, ha, 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 see? You're chickening out already? That sucks. We have been through hell. What about our graduation test? Said Naruto. Oh. We wanted to eliminate all the hopeless cases from your ranks. The ones who are left are the only students who show true potential. Kakashi responded. Say what? Shouted Naruto. In any event, we'll meet tomorrow morning on Training Field 3 so that I can evaluate each of your skills and weaknesses. Bring all of your ninja tools and weapons. And don't have breakfast beforehand, unless you enjoy throwing up. Kakashi concluded. I'm not going to let this get to me. I'll kick the ass of Kakashi. Sensei. Then I will be respected. Yes. As Kakashi approached them and handed a paper form to each of them, Naruto pondered. The details of your assignment are in this handout. Memorize it and don't be late, said Kakashi. Sakura shouted, throw up. How hard is this exercise going to be? After all, this ninja thing could be fascinating. If Espio had seen me now, I wonder what he would have said, Sonic pondered. Sitting in his Hokage Tower office, Hiruzen gazed at the crystal ball that displayed Sakura, Sasuke, and Naruto waiting for Kakashi. Sonic had been there before, but he drove off in a random direction for some reason. Then the door opened and Shimura Danzo, a man Hiruzen had known since childhood, entered. But he didn't appear to be a Mobian or an Overlander in the slightest. If Sonic had seen him, he would have recognized him right away as Ixis Nagas, a strong wizard from his own world who was able to usurp the throne from King Elias Acorn, Sally's brother, and had complete control over the elements. Danzo's left arm, which in Ixis' case ended in a crab claw, appeared to be missing, but that was the only thing that set him apart from Ixis. Hiruzen, it's come to my attention that you've allowed some unknown rodent into our ninja force, Danzo replied. There's no need to worry, Danzo. I've got word from a very reliable source that he can be trusted, Hiruzen replied. Danzo inquired, and what source is that? Danzo scoffed inwardly before turning around and walking away as Hiruzen's focus returned to the crystal ball. I don't feel like telling you. Now leave, Hiruzen said. Training area number 3, the Memorial Stone training area. You're late, exclaimed Sakura and Naruto as Kakashi finally showed up, 3 hours after his scheduled arrival. He looked around and couldn't find the blue hedgehog, so he asked, where's Sonic? I don't know. He said something about running 1.000 laps around the village while waiting for you before running off, Naruto replied. Sakura was about to say, that's totally stupid if you ask me. There's no way he could ever, when Sonic abruptly sped into the training field and skidded to a stop. He remarked, and that makes 1,000. There's no way you could have already run around the village one time, much less 1,000, said Sakura. Sonic said, please. I'm the fastest thing alive. Really? Inquired Naruto. Skeptical, Sakura replied, yeah, right. They were talking when Kakashi cleared his throat to get their attention, and they were unaware that he had set a timer on the middle stump. After pressing a button on the timer, he held up 3 bells and said, I have here 3 small bells. Your challenge is to steal these from me before the timer sounds. I've set this alarm to go off at noon. Before Kakashi went on, Sonic exclaimed, ha! I only need 5 seconds to get one of those bells. Anyone who fails doesn't get any lunch. Instead, you will be tied to that tree stump, so I can eat your lunch in front of you, he stated. Naruto realized, so that's why you wanted us to skip breakfast. Hey. This man is a complete sadist. Well, at least I got my fill of chili dogs this morning, Sonic reflected. All you need is just 1 bell, apiece. But since there aren't enough to go around, One of you is definitely headed for the stump. And whoever that is will be the first of you to fail. One of you is on your way back to school, and disgrace. The imitator of Espio said, causing Naruto take a deep breath. You may, if you choose, use shuriken. Attack as though you mean to kill or you'll never stand a chance. Sakura exclaimed, but that's so dangerous. You couldn't even dodge an eraser. You're gonna get yourself killed, said Naruto. Only the weak speak loudly. Now, let's forget the dobi, and we'll start on my signal. Kakashi responded. Kakashi then appeared behind Naruto, grabbed the hand he was holding the kunai in the back of his head, and held the kunai just behind the two-tailed fox's head. Naruto became enraged at being called dobi, and swiftly withdrew a kunai, twirling it around his finger and gripping it before he was about to throw it at Kakashi. Kakashi remarked, not so fast, I didn't say, go. Wow, Sakura thought, I didn't even see him move. It's a Jonin. Then, Sasuke thought. He's quick. Astonished, Sonic thought, much faster than Espio. Then he grinned and said, but still, he's nowhere near my speed. Before the five of them disappeared in separate directions, Kakashi remarked, but at least you struck to kill, so, it seems you've begun to respect me. Heh heh heh, maybe, just maybe, I'm starting to like you for. And now, ready, set, go. Sonic peered into the clearing where Kakashi was standing and hid in the bushes. The blue hedgehog thought, if I recall correctly, Lancelot used Shadow's chaos powers during a sparring match once when I was in the King Arthur story, so I've got to assume that this guy can use Espio's ability to become invisible. Then he heard someone shouting, and he turned to see Naruto standing in the open, shouting at Kakashi, man, he might look like Tails, but the similarities ends there. Sonic watched as Kakashi took out a book and began to read while Naruto attacked him. After that, Naruto launched an unrelenting attack, but Kakashi sidestepped all of his moves and then materialized behind him, holding his hands in what appeared to be a hand signal similar to those made by Espio. Sakura screamed, Naruto, get out of there, you'll be killed. Nanda? Naruto inquired, glancing in the direction of her voice. Before abruptly sticking his fingers into Naruto's tailhole and sending him flying, Kakashi uttered the words, too late. Konohagakure no Sato's most secret and most sacred technique, Senin Garashi. That's supposed to be ninjutsu. What kind of sacred technique is that? Looks more like he just showed something right up Naruto's butt, Sakura responded. Before Naruto plunged into the water, Sasuke remarked, huh, they're both buffoons. Really? Before thinking, he's still faster and stronger than Espio, though I've fought opponents that are still faster than him as well as opponents that are stronger, Sonic thought. I think I'm going to be sick. His thoughts then turned to Knuckles and Scourge, respectively. Then, while still laughing over his book, the Espio impersonator caught both of the shuriken as they shot out of the water and headed for Kakashi. Naruto emerged from the water shortly after, exhausted, but before Kakashi could turn away from him, 8 yellow furred fox clones emerged from the water and charged at him. Then, the real Naruto leapt on Kakashi's back, but just as one of the clones was ready to strike him, he was abruptly replaced by another clone. After a dispute broke out between the Narutos, one of the clones proposed that he dispel them. When he did so, he discovered that Kakashi had vanished from view. Then he saw one of the bells on the ground near a tree, so he ran in its direction. However, he was sent dangling up in the tree after his legs got caught in a rope. Sasuke finally saw his opportunity when Kakashi entered and rang the bell before giving Naruto a brief lecture. Look here, finally, he's caught off guard. As he hurled multiple shuriken at Kakashi and struck him, the shadow impersonator thought, he used Kawarimi again, and I just gave away my location. However, Kakashi just turned into a log. He purposefully pretended to be caught off guard, and I was gullible enough to fall for it. Before reviewing the situation in his mind, Sonic thought, well, Sal has always told me to look over the situation before taking action, and I guess this is as good as any time to start listening to her. Now let's see. He's as fast as Blaze, as strong as Vector, and as smart as Tails. How can I defeat such a person? What would Antoine do? Then he pictured what the coyote mentioned above would probably do. Imagination Antoine gave a battle cry and rushed towards Kakashi, saying, ZZZ end for you, mon ami. However, Kakashi quickly grabbed him by the neck and held him in the air. The end of imagination. Yep, that was a bad idea, Sonic thought before hearing what sounded like Amy's scream. A scream he knew all too well, but he assumed it had to be Sakura because Amy couldn't have been here. Sakura was pretty close. Sonic made the decision to run to the other side of the training field in order to avoid being noticed. He turned to see Kakashi standing there, reading his book, when he heard a voice behind him say, "I thought you said something about getting one of these bells in 5 seconds. Before rushing in the direction of the Jonin, Sonic remarked, "I did. So I suppose I should keep to my word, huh?" Then Kakashi leapt to the side, barely avoiding it, and put his book away. Sonic said, "1." Then he crouched and shot himself like a ball in the direction of the SBO impersonator, too quickly for him to avoid. 2. Sonic then leapt over him, but he turned around and leapt backwards, only for the hedgehog to fly by and grab him from behind. 3. Kakashi then turned invisible, causing Sonic to relax in mild surprise before he stumbled backwards and took an elbow to the face. After shaking his head to gather his thoughts, he rolled into a ball and began to spin while blue lights began to circle him and then enter his body as he came to a stop. "Light. Speed dash," he exclaimed as he sped past Kakashi's invisible form and stopped in a crouch, looking down at one of the bells in his left hand and saying, "And 5. After that, he got up and looked around. Since he couldn't see Kakashi, he assumed that the chameleon had probably gone off to defeat one of the others. Shortly after, he heard Sakura scream once more before the timer sounded a while later. After 10 minutes, Sonic was eating a chili dog off to the side, while Sasuke and Sakura sat on either side of Naruto, who was tied to the stump after attempting to steal the entire lunch for himself. As he turned to face Sakura, Sasuke, and Naruto, Kakashi remarked, "Oh, my. Listen to all the little stomachs growl. By the way, you 3, I have an announcement about this exercise. None of you need to worry anymore about being sent back to the Ninja Academy." "Yeah," exclaimed Naruto. "Even me. Considering how I passed out. Did we all pass?" As her inner voice exclaimed, "Oh, yeah? Love conquers all?" Sakura pondered. Naruto began, "This rocks. It means all 4 of us," but Kakashi interrupted. He turned to Sonic and said, "And that means you too. You are hopeless. More schooling would be pointless. None of you will ever be shinobi." After finishing his chili dog, Sonic exclaimed, "Nanda. But I was able to get a bell," and held out the bell. Kakashi turned back to face the 3 at the stumps before Sasuke charged at him, saying, "Yes. But still, neither you, nor any of the others has what it takes." Sakura yelled, "Sasuke.kun," before Kakashi effortlessly threw Sasuke to the ground, grasped the hedgehog's left arm behind his back, and planted his right foot on its head. Kakashi remarked, "What you are is a quartet of spoiled brats." "Get off Sasuke.kun. Don't step on him," screamed Sakura. "Are you trying to make fun of the shinobi with your behavior? Well, are you? Did you even stop to wonder for 1 minute why you were divided into teams?" Kakashi responded. She said, Excuse me. Sakura. Obviously not. So you missed the entire point of the exercise," Kakashi replied. "It had a point," exclaimed Sonic. "Of course. And that point determines whether or not you would succeed," Kakashi replied. Sakura remarked, "But, you haven't explained what it is." Kakashi said, "I don't believe this." Naruto exclaimed, "Come on, already, tell us." Before going on to say, "It's teamwork. If the 4 of you had come at me together, you might have been able to take the bells." Sonic held up the bell and remarked, "I still got a bell, though." "Yes. But I didn't anticipate your speed, so you caught me by surprise," Kakashi replied. "But hold on a second." Sakura pondered when she realized something. "If we were expected to function as a team, why did you only have 3 bells? Even if we'd worked together, one of us still would have had to go without lunch. You're preaching teamwork, but you played us against each other." "I get it. You wanted to see if one of us would have the guts to take one for the team, even if it meant going back to the academy," Sonic replied. "Exactly," Kakashi stated before explaining. "This task was designed to cause dissension in your ranks. The situation was set up to reveal which of you would set aside your individual interests and propose to the others that you work together for the good of all. Instead of which, you, Sakura, ignored Naruto, who was right in front of you while you focused your attention on Sasuke, though you didn't know where he was. Naruto tried to do single-handedly what should have been the work of all three. Sonic, while doing the same as Naruto, actually succeeded. However, he was too focused on his speed and knew too little of the others' locations, so he didn't realize that he could have ran into them by mistake. And Sasuke had already decided that the others just got in his way and was better off playing solo. You are a team. Learn to act as one. Yes, it's necessary for ninja to have individual skills, but what is even more important now is teamwork. Making a play as an individual is bad for the team and exposes your comrades to unnecessary danger. You might as well kill them yourself. Here's an example. Then Kakashi grabbed a kunai from the pouch of his weapon and held it to Sasuke's neck, saying, "Sakura, kill Naruto, or Sasuke dies." "Nani?" exclaimed Naruto. Sonic exclaimed, "Whoa, whoa, hang on a sec. Don't you think that might be taking it a little far?" Before Kakashi stood up and put the knife back in his pouch. He turned and walked toward the memorial stone that gave the training field its name, saying, "The day may come when one of you may be taken hostage, and you're forced to make such a choice. When you are on a mission, your lives will always be on the line." The SBO impersonator remarked, "Look at the marker, all the names carved in the stone. Heroes of our village, ninja." As Sasuke returned to him and Sakura, Naruto yelled, "That's it, I just made up my mind. There's where I want my name to go. I'm not gonna throw my life away. I want to be like them, a hero." Sonic said, "I don't think you'd want that." "Huh? Why?" inquired Naruto. "It's a memorial stone. The ones that have their names there were all KIAD, killed in action. We've got something similar to it where I'm from," Sonic replied. "Sonic's right. This is a memorial. It includes the name of my best friend," Kakashi replied. He then glanced over his shoulder at them. "Pay attention, I'm giving you all one last chance. One that will be far more difficult than our last game with the bells. If you're prepared to continue, you may eat one of the bento boxes. But no sharing with Naruto. He goes hungry." Naruto asked, "Why?" And Kakashi completely spun around. He brought this on himself when he tried to sneak lunch for himself. If either of you feeds him, you fail the test right there. My word is law. Do you understand? Kakashi said as he walked away. The others weren't persuaded because Naruto's stomach was growling quite loudly, but he said, "Hey, this'll be a breeze. I can go without lunch, no problem." Sonic heard Naruto's growling stomach a while later as he was ready to finish his last chili dog. He glanced at his chili dog and then back at Naruto. Then, with a sudden burst of speed, he appeared in front of the two-tailed fox and offered his chili dog. To the surprise of the others, he said, "Here." "What, are you crazy? Don't you remember what Kakashi-sensei said?" Sakura responded. Before Sasuke abruptly held up his bento box for Naruto, Sonic remarked, "Calm down, will ya? He must be far away by now. Besides, I can't just stand by while listening to I mean Naruto's rumbling stomach. You're no good to me if you're just going to be a liability," he replied. Sakura thought, Sasuke-kun, and then imitated his movement. Naruto thought, Sakura-chan, and then grinned, arigato. But all of a sudden, a huge cloud of smoke appeared directly in front of them. Sonic exclaimed, "What the?" just before Kakashi emerged from the smoke. He began, and the four braced themselves for the worst. "Pass." He paused in front of them, grinning. Sakura said, "We pass." "But, why?" Kakashi remarked, "You four have just taken a giant step forward." How?" inquired Sakura. "Up until now, all any of you have done is listen unquestioningly to everything I say, like mindless, little drones. A true shinobi seeks for the hidden meanings within hidden meanings. In a ninja's world, those who violate the rules and fail to follow orders are lower than garbage. However, those who do not care for and support their fellows are even lower than that." Kakashi continued. "Hey. Wait until Sal hears that one, please. She'll definitely make that the freedom fighters' new motto," Sonic thought. "It's kind of cool," Naruto reflected. Kakashi gave a thumbs up and stated, "This exercise is concluded. You all pass. That's all for today, Team 7. Your duties will commence tomorrow." Naruto cried out, I did it, I did it, I'm a ninja, 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 ninja. Sonic thought, it doesn't look like it. As he, Sonic, Sasuke, and Sakura left, Kakashi remarked, let's go home. Naruto shouted after them, hey, guys? I'm still tied up here, guys? Cave, unidentified location. A man, probably an echidna if the white dreadlocks weren't a clue, was sitting in a pitch black cave. With the exception of his mask, which was essentially an orange spiral with a single eye hole in it, he was entirely black. He sat there with his right hand out in front of him, palm up, and a golden ring hovered over it, displaying a picture of the recent training session before it focused on Sonic. He closed his hand over the ring and looked up, revealing a red eye with 3 black tomos in it behind the hole in his mask. So it seems that the hedgehog which he warned me about has already arrived in this dimension. Then I will have to start with my plans earlier than expected, he said. After a month had passed since the Bell test, Team 7 had been on numerous missions that were essentially just tasks. Strangely, though, Sonic was still unsure of the reason behind his attraction to this dimension. The last 2 times, he learned it rather quickly because the first time, Sarah and the genie were there to explain everything to him right away, and the second time, he was immediately surrounded by Arthur's men. However, this time, no one was there to explain anything, and he had yet to see any villains. Team 7, however, was in the mission assignment room at the moment since they had just completed a dull D rank mission and were going to get another dull D rank mission until. No way. No thank you. Boring. Give us something different to do. Something important. Something amazing. Naruto screamed. He's got a point. Sasuke reflected. Oh, what a pain he is. Sakura pondered. Sighing, Kakashi thought, be thankful for what you can get. Hey. Sonic thought, he reminds me of how Tails used to be, when he always wanted to accompany us on the riskier missions. Iruka stood up and slammed his hands down on the desk, shouting, don't be a fool. You're only a beginner. Everyone starts out doing grunt work. It's where you get experience, so you can work your way up to the bigger things. We've done tons of small stuff, can we get some action? Said Naruto. Before Hiruzen explained how shinobi missions operated, Kakashi gave the 2-tailed fox a head bump and said, Naruto, that's enough. Knock it off. Missions were ranked D, C, B, and A. The more difficult a mission, the closer it was to a Genin completed mission D. Genin and Chunin completed mission C, Chunin completed mission B, and Jonin completed mission A. Hiruzen completed his explanation before observing that Naruto was not listening at all. So far, the 4 of you have only just achieved the lowest rank. D-rank missions are the best you could aspire to. The Tails impersonator sat on the floor with his back to the Hokage and remarked, I had pork ramen for lunch yesterday, so I think I'll have miso ramen today. Are you listening? Shouted Hiruzen. He said, I'm sorry, Kakashi. Iruka and Hiruzen grinned as Naruto screamed, I don't want to hear it, all the old fart ever does is apologize and then give me a lecture. But it's not fair, there's more to me than the trouble. Making screw up the old man thinks I am. With all due respect Hokage, I may just be a genin, but I've been on more life-threatening missions than I can count. And I'm sure that whatever threats we run into, I can handle them. Sonic replied as he came forward. As I thought, Hiruzen said, very well, since you put it that way, I will permit you to attempt a C-ranked mission, usually reserved for shinobi of the Chunin level. He added, the protection of a certain individual. He had witnessed many battles in his brief life. Naruto said, all right, and then he questioned, who is it? Some great lord? The daimyo? A princess? Before the door slid open and an elderly lynx entered, holding a sake bottle in his right hand and a big backpack on his back, Hiruzen said, calm down. I'll do the introductions right away, please invite him in. Sonic looked at the sake bottle and thought, well, that explains the weird scent I've been smelling. What's going on here? They look like a bunch of wet-nosed brats. Especially, the midget. He's got the face of an imbecile. It's a joke, right? You kids aren't really ninja, are you? The lynx responded. After glancing between Sonic, Sasuke, and Sakura, Naruto exclaimed, ha ha. Who do you mean? Which midget? Which imbecile? Before realizing that they were all taller than him. He screamed, I'll kill him. but Kakashi restrained him. Wrong. The chameleon replied, no killing the old links you've been assigned to protect. I am Tazuna, a bridge builder of ultimate renown, until I am safely back in my own country, where I'll be completing my next bridge. You'll all be expected to protect me, even if it costs you your lives, Tazuna stated. Village gates later. Yatta. Road trip. Naruto threw up his arms in exclamation. Sakura questioned, what are you babbling about? This will be the first time in my life that I've ever left the village, Naruto exclaimed with excitement as he surveyed his surroundings. Tazuna looked at Kakashi, who sighed, and pointed to Naruto, asking, am I really expected to place my life in the hands of this fool? There's no call for concern. I'm a Jonin, and I'll be along, too, Kakashi replied. This man must be the worst customer our village has ever had. With his arms folded across his chest, Naruto thought, and I'm not gonna let him give me any crap. Then, he said, listen, you old geezer. You don't mess with ninja. Ever. Especially not a really good one, like me. I am the cream of the elite. In fact, one day I'm gonna be the Hokage. So remember my name. It's Uzumaki Naruto, and pointed an accusing finger at the lynx. Tazuna drank from his sake bottle and remarked, Hokage, eh? The lord of your village? The best there is? I don't think someone like you has it in him. Well, you're old and stupid. I am doing all the right things, and I'm doing them fast. And when I become Hokage, you're gonna wish you were a lot more respectful to me right now, Naruto screamed. Respect you? I don't think so, not even if you did become Hokage, Tazuna replied. Naruto screamed, you are dead, but Kakashi stopped him. He said, I said no, you little doby. However, none of them realized that two individuals were observing them from the tops of the trees. Afterwards then Sakura said, Tazuna.san. What now? Inquired Tazuna. The pink hedgehog questioned, you come from the land of waves, right? What of it? Answered Tazuna. Sakura glanced at Kakashi and said, Kakashi. Sensei, are there ninja in that country too? Before introducing the 5 great shinobi nations and the corresponding cage for each land, Kakashi stated, no, not in the land of waves. But, as a general rule, even with all the differences that exist in local customs and cultures, most other lands have their own hidden village where a ninja clan resides. The chameleon patted Sakura's head and said, there's nothing to worry about. You won't face any duels with ninja from other villages while you're handling sea-level duties. The pink hedgehog said, so I don't have to worry about encountering any foreign shinobi. Sonic and Sasuke noticed that Tazuna flinched a little and then looked down at the ground with what seemed to be regret when Kakashi said, of course not, ha ha ha. They continued to walk when Kakashi spotted a tiny puddle on the ground. A short while later, 2 people emerged from the puddle. As the other one, who resembled an overgrown chicken, leapt into the air, grabbed the drill, and swiftly wrapped the chain around Kakashi, one of them, who seemed to have drills for hands and nose and wheels for legs, fired one of the drills with a metallic chain attached to the rest of his arm. Naruto turned around and exclaimed, Nanda, with the others. The chicken said, one little piggy. Then, both of them tugged on the chain, shredding Kakashi to pieces. Grounder and Scratch. Sonic was shocked to realize that someone could resemble one of the robots from his world. Naruto exclaimed, Kakashi. Sensei, just before the 2 robots materialized behind him. 2 little piggies, said the Grounder impersonator. However, Sonic appeared and knocked the 2 attackers away before they could tie the chain around the 2-tailed fox. Ninja. Tazuna pondered. Then, as the drill he was holding went back to its owner, the Scratch impersonator released it. Subsequently, the Grounder impersonator launched both of his arm drills at Sonic, but the hedgehog effortlessly evaded it by leaping into the air. Upon landing, he struck the Grounder impersonator's head with his right heel, rendering him unconscious. Sonic searched for the Scratch impersonator as he landed, but he discovered that the chicken was moving in the direction of the others. Tazuna appeared to be his target as he ran past Naruto, while Sasuke and Sakura moved in front of the elderly lynx. The robot chicken was about to be intercepted by the blue hedgehog when Kakashi showed up and locked the Scratch impersonator in a headlock. Kakashi. Sensei. You're still here, Sakura pondered. I am grateful for his assistance, even though I could have handled the other one without it, Sonic reflected. When Naruto noticed the logs where Kakashi appeared to have been killed, he realized, Kakashi Sensei used Kawarimi. Tazuna thought, I don't know how they did it, but it looks like I've been saved. Kakashi looked at Sonic and remarked, I'm impressed, Sonic, you handled yourself better than I had expected. Sonic said, seemingly indifferently, please. Does guys look like some bots I used to wreck a few years back? Kakashi then turned to face Tazuna. He said, Tazuna.san. The lynx said, Wah, what is it? Before long, the two bots were standing in front of them, tied to a tree. Our attackers appeared to be Chunin of Kirigakure. They are shinobi renowned for their willingness to fight until their goal is achieved, even at the cost of their own lives. Obviously, they were watching and waiting for us. The sun is out, and there hasn't rained for several days, so there shouldn't have been any puddles on the ground. Kakashi continued. If you knew all that, why did you even let those creeps attack you? Replied Tazuna. I could have killed them at any time, but I wanted to find out who their real target was, said Kakashi. So that's how it was. I thought you were just stupid to be caught in their trap, Sonic replied. Sakura questioned, you knew they were watching too, Sonic? If you live through a war like I have, you will start developing a sixth sense about these sort of things, Sonic replied. Naruto questioned, you've lived through a war? In response, Sonic said, sure have. What do you mean by that? Tazuna asked, glancing at Kakashi as they conversed. Were you really the one they were after? Or was it one of us ninja? There has been no word of any shinobi seeking to take your life. The request that was relayed to Hokage Sama was that you have an escort to protect you against any roving bands of thieves and brigands. In any case, it's clear that this is more than a B-rank mission. To protect you from ordinary dangers until you complete the bridge you're currently constructing would be a simple thing. But if you expected to be the target of a ninja assault, then it is beyond question that this would be classified and priced as a mission for Jonin. You may have had your reasons, but it's never a good idea to conceal facts when you are asking for help. As it is, this task falls far beyond the boundaries of the job we were assigned. Kakashi continued. We're not good enough yet to handle something like this, can we quit? Said Sakura. Quit? You can leave if you want to, but I'm staying. There's no way that I'd leave just when things start to get exciting. Besides, I once fought 4 whole ninja clans at the same time and still came out on top, Sonic replied. Sonic started to perspire when Kakashi said, there's no need to exaggerate. How did he know? He questioned himself. True, he had mistakenly believed that there were 4 ninja clans, but most of them were in New Mobotropolis, which had been overrun by the Iron Dominion, which was ruled by Regina, an overlander who was known as the Iron Queen. To force the ninja clans to secede from the Iron Dominion, Sonic had traveled to the Dragon Kingdom with Tails, Sally, and Monkey Khan. One of them even disbanded as a clan, but another later joined Robotnik's Dark Egg Legion. Covert hiding place. A man stood in a dark room, obscured by shadows, and yelled, failed? What the hell do you mean, you failed? If you weren't supposed to be the best, I wouldn't have paid top Ryo for your skills. A robot that Sonic would recognize as a SWAT bot stood next to the man. A huge creature was sitting on a couch in front of them. He was brandishing a big sword, which he swung down at the smaller man, inches from his face. The big Mobian said in a deep voice, do stop whining. There's nothing to worry about. With this neck cleaving knife, will take the hit by myself. Yes sir, but are you sure you really want to? The enemy has hired ninja of tremendous skill. And besides, now that the Oni brothers have tried and failed, they'll be on guard against further attempts, the man replied. Remember to whom you are speaking. I am Momochi Zabuza, the demon of Kirigakure, the Mobian replied. Near the land of waves, in the ocean, a lynx had picked up Tazuna and the Konoha shinobi at the Land of Fire's shore and was to take them to the island in his boat. As the area was encircled by dense fog, Kakashi remarked, wow, this is some fog. I can barely see a thing. That's what the guy who can make himself invisible says, Sonic thought, perspiring. The lynx that guided the boat said, we'll be able to see the bridge in a minute. On the other side of it is the Land of Waves. Indeed, the bridge was soon visible through the fog. Whoa! It's huge! Cried Naruto. Hey, keep it down. This mist'll keep us hidden. But from this point on, we have to turn off our engines and row. We'd be in big trouble if Gato found us, the lynx replied. Then, as Kakashi recalled a previous exchange with Tazuna, the four genin turned to face him. The Land of Waves had apparently been ruled by a wicked businessman named Gato for a year or so. Although he dominated all maritime transportation, which was largely responsible for his authority over the nation, Gato would begin to lose control if the bridge could be completed. Sonic said casually, "Hey, don't worry. If Gato shows up, then I'll beat him up." Sakura questioned, "You sure like to brag, don't you?" Sonic remarked, "It's all part of the job. We'll be there soon," the lynx replied before turning to face Tazuna. "Tazuna, so far it looks like we've been overlooked. Just to be on the safe side, we'll take an inland waterway through town to a point where we can make landfall under the cover of mangroves." According to Tazuna, "Thank you." They soon located a suitable spot a little further inland to land, and Tazuna and the shinobi all disembarked from the boat. The lynx said, "This is as far as I go. Take care of yourself." Tazuna turned to face his fellow lynx, who turned on the engine and drove off, saying, "Thanks for taking such a risk. I shouldn't have asked it." "All right," Tazuna said as they began to walk, "if I can just make it back home in one piece." Kakashi replied, Yeah. Then he thought, there's going to be another attack, and they won't send Chunin next time. Jonin is likely to be our opponent. Is there anything worse than this? Naruto, who appeared to be trying to be a little more perceptive than usual, heard some rustling in the bushes as they were walking and threw a shuriken in the direction of the source. Then, after the shuriken struck the trunk of a tree behind it, Kakashi went to search for an unconscious rabbit. Sakura shouted, "Naruto! Look what you did!" Naruto embraced the rabbit and exclaimed, "It was an accident. Snap out of it, bunny. Please, instead." Tazuna remarked, "Just a rabbit? Unusual. It's spring, but that snow hare with its winter coat," Sonic thought. "That is a snow hare. Why is it still wearing its winter coat when it's spring? It's clear that the hare is a decoy that has been housed indoors, away from the sun, like a pet," Kakashi pondered. But none of them knew that someone was standing on one of the tree branches, observing them. Based on my observations, this group lacks the Oni brothers' level of skill. However, their leader is not just any shinobi, but a shinobi of Konohagakure no Sato. And that blue hedgehog, while he's rather young, the way he stands, like he's anticipating an incoming attack, depicts a great deal of experience, though it's strange that I've never heard of him, he thought before turning to face the blue-furred hedgehog. It's Sharingan no Kakashi. He then sprang into action. When the chameleon yelled, "Everyone take cover," Kakashi and Sonic quickly realized that something was wrong. Then, just as a big blade swung in over their heads like a boomerang and embedded itself in a tree, Sonic leapt into the air, and Kakashi swiftly ducked as Sakura pulled Naruto to the ground and Sasuke pulled Tazuna to the ground. When Kakashi looked up, he saw that a big lion had landed on the blade. "That appears to be," the chameleon pondered. Then Sonic launched himself in the air like a ball in the direction of the lion, but he was swiftly knocked away before colliding with the ground behind Kakashi. As Sonic looked up the man, his eyes widened because this was the first time he had gotten a good look at him. Well, if it isn't Momochi Zabuza, the kid who ran off and left Kirigakure," Kakashi said. "You must be joking with me, Kodos, the warlord? This mission is now officially in A rank, that's all," he pondered. Naturally, Sonic was justified in his panic since Kodos was one of the 5 individuals he could never defeat without the assistance of his friends. Kurama no Kyuubi. I may be mistaken, but I haven't read the comics in a while, and those 5 are the only ones that come to mind at the moment. He started to reach for his Hite.8, thinking, and if I have to face him, it had better be. Kakashi stopped him before he could move in, saying, "Don't interfere. Give me room. This one is on a different plane from our previous opponents." He then put his hand over the left side of the Hite.8, preparing to pull it up, and remarked, "Like this may be a little rough." As Sonic moved to stand next to Kakashi, he said, "Let me help you out here." With a sidelong glance at the hedgehog, he said, "This guy looks just like someone I know, and if my hunch is correct, then you're gonna need all the help you can get." Sharingan no Kakashi, I presume? If it wouldn't be too much trouble, could you surrender the old man? Replied Zabuza. Sharingan. How on earth does that mean anything? Naruto pondered. The Sharingan? Sasuke's eyes widened and he thought in surprise. Sharingan. What is it? As Sonic glanced at Kakashi out of the corner of his eye, he thought. Kakashi pulled up his Hite.8 and said, "And now, Zabuza." Then he pulled the Hite.8 up completely, revealing a red eye with 3 black tomo. "Shall we?" he asked. Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, assume the Manji battle. Protect Tazuna.san. The 3 of you, stay out of the fight. That's the kind of teamwork this situation demands. Sonic, you'll provide backup. Sonic thought, that's one freaky eye, right there. To face the legendary Sharingan so early in our acquaintance, this is an honor, said Zabuza. Naruto screamed, you keep calling it a Sharingan, what the heck is it? Shinobi who have the Sharingan have mastered a form of ocular ninjutsu. It enables them to penetrate and see the reality behind any illusion or spell, and to reflect the power of the jutsu they penetrate back at those who cast them. A Sharingan eye is one of several types used by the masters, and there's more, Sasuke clarified. Like what? Inquired Naruto. Heh, exactly. There is indeed more. Most formidable of all is the acuity with which the Sharingan can discern and then duplicate its opponent's greatest skill. When I was an assassin for Kirigakure, I possessed the usual bingo book. It had the extensive write up on you, including a mention of your impressive record. The man who had penetrated and copied over 1,000 different jutsu, Kakashi, the copy ninja. Zabuza clarified. As he gazed at Kakashi, Sasuke wondered, but does that mean that the Sharingan is supposed to be exclusive to the Uchiha clan? Could he be? Enough. Pleasant as this conversation has been, the time for talk is over. I'm on a very tight schedule to polish off the old man. Zabuza replied. Sonic exclaimed, not gonna happen, pal, as Sakura, Naruto, and Sasuke formed a Manji formation to defend Tazuna. Zabuza said, of course, it seems that I've got to get rid of the 2 of you first. He then withdrew his sword from the tree and shunned away. Then he materialized on the surface of a nearby lake, and only Sonic and Kakashi could track his movements. When Naruto saw the lion, he yelled, over there. Sakura exclaimed, is he walking on water? As dense fog began to envelop the area, Kakashi thought, clever, he's built up a pretty fair concentration of chakra. Zabuza exclaimed, Ninpo, Kirigakure no Jutsu, as the fog grew even more dense. According to Sonic, he's gone. He will come after me first. Momochi Zabuza of the Kirigakure Assassin Corps is a famous master of Serento Kiringu. Letting your guard down around him buys you a direct trip to heaven. I haven't necessarily mastered every aspect of the Sharingan, so all of you stay on your toes. Kakashi replied. As the fog enveloped them, Naruto questioned, what's with all this fog? The voice of Zabuza said, there are 8 targets. Sakura said, Nanda. Wa. What was that? Throat, spinal column, lungs, liver, the jugular vein, the subclavian artery, kidney, heart. So many choices. What vital, vulnerable place shall I choose? The lion asked. Then, just before a wave of killing intent struck them, Kakashi saw something as he made a hand gesture, but neither he nor Sonic were impacted. This horrible bloodthirst will kill me if I even blink, attracting his attention. I sense it. I can't remain this way forever. I'm about to go crazy. A skilled ninja, intent on killing. I know that he has my life in his hands. I detest it, Sasuke thought. You start wanting to die, just to end the suspense, before he noticed Kakashi. Before Zabuza's voice could be heard again, he said, Sasuke. Calm down. Even if he gets me, I'll still protect you. I will never let my comrades die. Just as he was about to swing his sword, Sonic shot through him like a ball, causing the lion to explode into water just before Sonic uncurled himself and landed on the ground. I wouldn't bet on that, he said before appearing in the exact middle of the formation, saying, game over. Nanda? Asked Sonic, startled by Zabuza's appearance behind him. Sonic. Behind you. Shouted Naruto. Then Sonic glanced over his shoulder just in time to see the Kodo's impersonator swinging his sword. However, the blue hedgehog barely avoided the blade as it sped off towards the tree line. Zabuza thought, he's fast, very fast, right before he discovered a kunai at his throat. From behind him, Kakashi said, don't move. The game is over. The real Zabuza swung his sword behind the chameleon and said, So you have one of your subordinates fight me, and then come at me from my blind spot? Before he abruptly splattered into the water. I can't believe you'd underestimate me like that. Zabuza's eyes widened as the SBO impersonator abruptly splattered into the water as the big sword sliced right through Kakashi. In that fog, he imitated me, the lion thought, startled. The voice said, "Hey, Pant. Stripes, over here." Zabuza turned to see Sonic crouched. A faint green glow glowing from his body, before he launched himself at the lion at a speed too quick for the untrained eye to follow. Light. Speed dash. Zabuza hardly had time to block with his enormous sword before the blue-furred hedgehog leapt over the blade and spun his feet so that everything under his kneecaps appeared to be a drill. Sonic screw. Driver. Then, as Sonic descended, Zabuza leapt back just in time to avoid him. Then Kakashi suddenly materialized right in front of the lion and tried to stab him with a kunai, but Zabuza deflected it with his sword and struck Kakashi with the flat side of the sword, sending him flying in the direction of a nearby lake. Zabuza was running after the chameleon when he thought, and now, however, he skidded to a stop when he saw something on the ground. Caltrops. Just as Kakashi hit the water's surface, he said, "Foolishness," and then walked away. "Sensei!" exclaimed Naruto. Kakashi. Sensei was sent flying all that way, right? Sakura pondered. Sasuke thought, his physical skills are fantastic. Sonic thought, well, one thing is for sure, that guy's strength is definitely on par with Kodo's. Then Kakashi came up from below, but he appeared to have a little difficulty moving. Why is this water so heavy? Just before Zabuza emerged behind him, weaving a series of hand signals, he thought. Before completing the hand sign sequence, Suiro no Jutsu, he exclaimed, "Ha! Gullible fool." Then, as Zabuza held his right hand in the sphere, a sphere of water abruptly engulfed the chameleon. Kakashi thought, I thought I could go underwater and regroup, but it was a tactical error. Before turning to face Kakashi, Zabuza remarked, "Heh heh heh, that prison is inescapable. You're trapped. You running around free makes it too hard for me to do my job." He then made a sign with one hand, saying, "I'll finish you later, after I've dealt with all the others." Mizu Bunshin no Jutsu. He was good, I knew that, but not this good. As a clone of Zabuza emerged from the water on the ground, Kakashi pondered. Heh heh heh, little ninja wannabe. Trying so hard to fit in, you even wear a Hite.8. But a true ninja is one who has crossed and recrossed the barrier between the lands of the living and the dead. The clone said while making a one-handed gesture. Clothes don't make a shinobi. You need skills good enough to rate a listing in my bingo book before you deserve to be called Little Ninja. We don't call your kind Little Ninja. We call them. He then disappeared. He disappeared once more, before the clone materialized directly in front of him and kicked him away with such force that the Hite.8 was knocked off of him and landed on the ground as the clone placed his foot on it. Naruto pondered. Naruto! Exclaimed Sakura. The real Zabuza said, "Brats. Everyone, listen. Take Tazuna.san and go. It's a fight you can't win. If he wants to hold me in this water prison, he can't leave this place. If his Mizu Bunshin gets more than a certain distance away from his real body, he loses control of it. So get out of here," Kakashi screamed. Sonic stepped forward and said, "Hey, not gonna happen. Nanda? Are you crazy? There's no way you can win on your own?" Kakashi barked. Everyone stared at Sonic as he said, "I was wrong before. This guy is identical to someone else I've fought in nearly every aspect, so I thought he was as strong as that guy as well, but I was wrong. This one's a lot weaker." After that, he turned to face the Zabuza clone and said, "And about what you said before about crossing and recrossing the border between life and death. Oh, you have no idea." Then he grabbed Naruto's Hite.8 and shot at the clone at an unfathomable speed, destroying it in the process. Then he threw it into the air, saying, "Oi, Naruto." Catch. Naruto automatically used his twin tails to fly up into the air. Then he grabbed the Hite.8 and put it back on. Sakura questioned, "Wait, Naruto can fly?" When Naruto realized how high up he was, his eyes widened and he exclaimed, "Wow. I have never been this high in the air before. If he's anything like Tails, then he should at least be able to come up with a plan," Sonic thought after saying, "Nice catch there, lil buddy." Now I'll leave you to figure out what to do." The Tails impersonator looked around, trying to come up with something, while Zabuza created another clone. Then he recalled a previous statement made by Kakashi. "If he wants to hold me in this water prison, he can't leave this place." That's it. After giving it some thought, Naruto produced a pen, an explosive tag, and a kunai. After that, he began writing something on the tag, put the pen away, and affixed the tag to the kunai, saying, "Hey, Sonic, catch." Subsequently, he hurled the kunai in Sonic's direction, who swiftly read the tag's contents before rushing in the direction of the actual Zabuza. But when the clone swung his sword at the hedgehog, the Mobian threw the kunai at the clone and leapt into the air. However, the clone used his free hand to catch the kunai and hurled it at Naruto, who was flying in the direction of the real Zabuza. He smirked when he caught a glimpse of the kunai approaching him out of the corner of his eye. Then, his tails abruptly stopped spinning, and he whirled around, striking the kunai with them. It flew down toward Zabuza and Kakashi, then landed in the water between them. At that moment, the tag blew, causing Zabuza to let go of the water prison and releasing Kakashi as he leapt out of the way. Naruto drew the lion's attention by saying, "Hey, I've got a new listing for your bingo book right here. The one who's going to be the next Hokage, Uzumaki Naruto." Then, as the blue hedgehog ran in the direction of the clone, Sonic leapt back and then moved his feet incredibly fast as he ran in place. His feet took the shape of the infinity symbol rather than the typical wheel. Figure 8. Then, while still moving his feet in the figure 8 pattern, he leapt into the air and kicked the clone in the face, giving the impression that he had given it a single kick, but in reality, it was a gazillion kicks. As Sonic landed, the clone splashed into the water. He drew his enormous sword and swung it at the chameleon, who deftly dodged before leaping back to land. You're better than I had expected, rodent," Zabuza said, then glanced at Kakashi out of the corner of his eye. "But..." Naruto yelled, "Yosh, now let's get that guy," which made Zabuza laugh. As he looked at Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, Zabuza remarked, "Playing to be a ninja like a child's game. However, by the time I was your age had already dyed these hands in my enemy's blood." This made Sonic's eyes narrow and Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and Tazuna gulp. Gazing at the lion, Kakashi uttered, "The demon, Zabuza." Zabuza remarked, "It would seem my reputation has preceded me. Long ago in Kirigakure no Sato, the final step toward becoming a full-fledged ninja was the most inhumanely difficult test imaginable." Kakashi continued. "So, you've heard about our little graduation exercise," Zabuza replied. Sonic questioned, "Graduation exercise?" Zabuza began to laugh, so he repeated, "What is a graduation exercise?" Zabuza said, "Heh, it's a kind of killing spree among classmates." Kakashi's eyes widened, but everyone else's did too. "Say what?" Naruto shouted in his head. "That's insane," exclaimed Sonic. Students who'd been friends, eating from the same dish, as undergrads were divided into pairs who were forced to fight against each other, to the death. Think of it. Comrades who had trained together, lived together, shared each other's every hope and dream, said Zabuza. Sakura said, "That's terrible. 10 years ago, the elders of Kirigakure were forced to enact a sweeping reform of their barbaric graduation ritual because of the appearance, during the previous year, of a Mobian fiend who made reform essential." Kakashi clarified. Sakura inquired, "What kind of reform?" But when no response was received, she followed up with, "What are you talking about? What did the fiend you're talking about do?" Without a moment's hesitation, without any hint of qualm, a boy who hadn't even qualified yet as a ninja butchered over 100 members of that year's graduating class. Kakashi continued. Sonic glared at Zabuza and remarked, "I think I've got an idea of who you're talking about." With a sadistic grin and a promising evil look in his eyes, Zabuza said, "Ah, yes. Good times, I used to have such fun." This made Sakura, Sasuke, and Naruto twitch, and since Naruto was still in the air, he fell and landed in the water, just a few meters in front of the large lion. When Naruto looked up, Zabuza was standing over him, poised to swing his blade, so it was too late for Sakura to shout, "Naruto, watch out!" Sonic exclaimed, "Oh, no, you don't," before slicing in the direction of Naruto and Zabuza. He arrived in time to save the Tails impersonator from the lion's sword. Sonic placed a dazed-out Naruto on the ground beside Kakashi and remarked, "Hey, watch where you swing that thing. Someone could get hurt." Zabuza stated, "That was the general idea. Just so you know, the same trick won't work on me twice." Kakashi said, "Sonic, watch over Naruto. I'll take care of the rest. Kurama no Kyuubi." I'm skipping the rest of the fight for two reasons. One is that the rest of it is basically 90% canon, and the other is that I'm lazy and want to get this chapter over with so I can move on to the next one. Kakashi then walked towards Zabuza. At the conclusion of the battle, Kakashi landed on a branch with a kunai in his hand while Zabuza was knocked into a tree. He remarked, "That's that." Gazing at the chameleon out of the corner of his eye, Zabuza said, "Nanda, can you see the future?" Kakashi said, "I foresee your death." Then, out of nowhere, a pair of senbon entered and pierced Zabuza's neck. When Kakashi and Sonic turned to face the direction from which the senbon had come, they noticed a masked wearing figure standing atop a branch. The person's feminine voice indicated that it was a female, and she looked like a fox, with a red fox tail extending from her back. "Hehe, your prediction came true." Then, as Kakashi knelt down by Zabuza's body to check his pulse, the others noticed her. "Way dead," he thought, then glanced back up at the fox woman. "Thank you for your help. I hope you don't mind my interfering, but I wanted the satisfaction of putting Zabuza out of his misery myself," the young lady replied. "The mask is familiar, correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't you a shinobi hunter from Kirigakure?" replied Kakashi. The girl said, "Well, aren't you the smart one?" Sonic glanced at Kakashi and then at the girl when she spoke again, asking, "A shinobi hunter?" "I am, indeed, a member of the elite tracking unit from Kirigakure no Sato. It is our responsibility, and our art, to hunt down and deal with the rogues and outlaws," the young woman replied. "I swear I've heard her voice somewhere before, but where?" Sonic remarked nonchalantly as he folded his arms across his chest, hence the name, "Huh." "She is already a fully qualified shinobi hunter, but based on her size and voice tone, she couldn't be much older than Naruto or my other students. She's definitely not your typical child," Kakashi thought. The girl then lifted Zabuza onto her shoulders and shunshined down. She made a one-handed hand gesture and said, "Well then, I must be off." She then shunshined away in a swirl of leaves. "Your battle is over, for now. And the remains must be disposed of, lest they give up secrets to our foes." After that, Kakashi turned to face the others and said, "Now, we still have to escort Tazuna-san the rest of the way to his home. Let's put our best feet forward." He then lowered his hite-aid to once more conceal his left eye. Before Kakashi abruptly fell to the ground, Tazuna exclaimed, "Ha ha ha. You poor kids, you must be so humiliated, but never mind. You can lick your wounds at my house." Sakura said, "Nani? What's happening?" Kakashi thought, "I can't budge. I must have used the Sharingan too much." The home of Tazuna Naruto was snoring loudly while sleeping on a futon next to Kakashi, who was lying on one of the futons in Tazuna's house. Tazuna's daughter, a lynx named Tsunami, inquired, "Are you all right, sensei?" Kakashi responded, "No, but I will be, in about a week." "Ah, don't worry. If someone attacks I'll handle them," Sonic replied. "The Sharingan is an incredible power, but doesn't the strain it puts on your body make you wonder if it's worth it?" Sakura inquired. "This time, you took down your strongest foe yet, so we can probably relax for a while," Tazuna replied. Sakura remarked, "I can't stop thinking about that masked fox girl. That mask is worn by the most elite and secret ninja from Kirigakure, the shinobi hunters all wear them. Their unit is codenamed the Undertaker Squad, because they dispose of corpses so thoroughly, it's as though they never existed. Even after death, a shinobi's corpse may yield up its secrets of the skills it had mastered, as well as retaining the aura of the chakra it was steeped in the ninja's native lands. Even the ingredients of any drugs of potions that body consumed become an open book. In the same way, when I die, if an enemy were to take possession of my remains, the corpse would reveal all of the anatomical idiosyncrasies unique to possessors of the Sharingan. In the worst case, the enemy might gain enough information to be able to duplicate and master that power. Ninja corpses tell too many tales. Basically, shinobi hunters specialize in tracking down and eliminating missing nin and obliterating their remains in order to protect the secrets of their home village from the rest of the world. Silently and without a trace. That's how ninja leave the world, Kakashi explained. So, Zabuza's corpse will be dismembered and destroyed. That's so creepy, Sakura responded. The forest the masked fox was sitting over Zabuza's body, which was on the ground, when she grabbed a pair of scissors from her tools and held them up to the lion's head. As she moved the scissors closer to his face, she said, "First, I'll remove the wrappings around the mouth so the blood can drain out, and then," but as soon as his eyes opened, he grabbed the girl's wrist and used his other hand to pull down the bandage covering his mouth. He said, "Enough. I'll do it myself." When Zabuza sat up, the girl said, "Well now, awake already?" Zabuza remarked, "You have all the finesse of a butcher," as he extracted the senbon that was still in his neck. "Gently, please, Zabuza. Sama. If you pull those out any which way, you really will kill yourself," the child replied. "How long are you going to keep that ghoulish mask on? Take it off," Zabuza responded. The girl said, "Old habits die hard. And it was useful for my monkey pantomime routine," as she took off the mask and showed her face. The girl looked exactly like his ex-girlfriend Fiona Fox, and Sonic would have gasped if he had been present to witness it. The girl said, "If I hadn't stepped in, they would have killed you. You needn't have targeted the vulnerable areas in the neck just to put me into a death. Like trance. Any number of other points on my body would have done. But you are such a sadistic little brat," said Zabuza. "Exactly." The imitation of Fiona replied with a grin. "I didn't want to mar your perfect body, Zabuza. Sama. And besides, the neck is so much less muscular than the rest of the body. I can more precisely target the points that will leave an ordinary target paralyzed and apparently dead for a full week. But of course, someone like you will recover much more quickly, right? You are so innocent, so guileless, no doubt, it's why I like you," said Zabuza. The fox girl looked down at her master and said, "Hey, well, I'm only a child." She then got up and said, "Without us even noticing, the mist has lifted. Next time, will you be all right?" The lion answered, "Next time, I'll break the Sharingan." The home of Tazuna. When Kakashi's visible eyes suddenly opened, Sakura and Naruto, who was now awake, screamed and fell backwards. As she walked into the room, Tsunami said, "Oh, Kakashi-san, are you awake?" The Amy impersonator shouted to Naruto in a low voice, "You baka, don't be such a klutz. We almost got to see what's under the mask. It's strange. Even though I know that jerk Zabuza is no longer alive, I still have the strongest suspicion that I've missed something. Something significant," Kakashi pondered. Naruto questioned, "What's wrong, Kakashi-sensei?" Kakashi remarked, Of course," before starting to explain. The shinobi hunters who oversee corpse disposals are expected to immediately destroy the bodies of those they kill. "So what?" inquired Sakura. "Don't you get it? How did the kid in the mask dispose of Zabuza's corpse?" Kakashi responded. "Huh? How should I know? She took the body with her," Sakura responded. "Yes, she did, even though all she needed to take home as proof she'd made the kill was the head," Kakashi replied. "I get it. There's no way that she could carry around that huge body on her own," Sonic replied. "Yes, and there is also a mystery surrounding the weapons that the hunter used to dispatch her prey," Kakashi responded. Before his eyes widened in realization, Sasuke thought, "Senbon, no way." According to Kakashi, "Yes way." Tazuna questioned, "What the hell nonsense are you all mumbling about?" The eyes of Naruto, Sakura, and Tazuna widened as Kakashi remarked that it's likely Zabuza is still alive. Naruto screamed, "What the hell are you talking about?" "But, Kakashi-sensei, you checked to be sure Zabuza was dead, didn't you?" replied Sakura. "I made sure of it, but a death like trance could have created a very convincing illusion of the real thing. Those senbon that shinobi hunter used can be deadly if they hit a vital spot. If not, the mortality rate is surprisingly low, and remember, they were originally designed as medical treatment tools. Shinobi hunters and all members of any village's corpse disposal squad must possess an intimate and thorough knowledge of all Mobian and Overlander physiology. It would be simple for one of them to place a person into a near-death state. First of all, The masked girl went to the trouble of lugging Zabuza's extremely heavy carcass. Secondly, the senbon she used as weapons, while potentially deadly, can also be used to inflict non-mortal injury. These 2 points suggest that the kid's objective was to give the illusion of killing Zabuza while he rescued him. Things may be just the way they seemed, but we have to consider the other possibility. Kakashi clarified. Aren't you just complicating things by overthinking them? Shinobi hunters are supposed to hunt outlaw shinobi, right? Tazuna responded. Before noticing that Naruto was shivering with excitement, Kakashi remarked, usually, but ignoring something that smells this fishy is a great first step to being caught completely unprepared. And preparation is a shinobi's most important skill. Oh well. Whether Zabuza is dead or alive, there may still be more and even deadlier ninja in the service of your enemy, Gato. Interesting, Naruto seems excited at the possibility that Zabuza survived. Sakura called out to the chameleon, Sensei. You mentioned that preparation is a shinobi's most important skill, but at this moment you are unable to move at all. What are you going to do? Sakura asked. Heh, I'm going to increase your training schedule, Kakashi responded. Nanda. Training? Sakura inquired prior to screaming. But Kakashi. Sensei, what will a little extra training now matter with what we're up against? Our opponent is a ninja so powerful that even with your Sharingan, he almost defeated you. And she began to scream. What are you trying to do? Get us all killed? And when I was beleaguered, Sakura, think about who it was that rescued me. You 3 are all maturing, progressing rapidly, your powers growing exponentially, especially yours, Naruto. You've grown the most. Kakashi responded. Naruto? Sakura glanced at the two-tailed fox and thought, well, he seems a lot more grown up than he used to, but that being said, the skills I teach you now will be an interim thing only, to tide us over until I recover enough to take over. Kakashi continued. But, Sensei, even if Zabuza is alive, how can we just train without knowing when he may return and strike again? Sakura inquired. An excellent question, but once a person has been placed into a near-death trance, it is quite some time before their body returns to its previous state of health and readiness. So we'll train while we're waiting. Kakashi responded. Could be fun, said Naruto. As he entered the house, a small lynx child said, it won't be fun for you. This was the first member of the family that Sonic recognized. He bore a striking resemblance to Larry Lynx, an old friend of Sonic's who had the special power to bring misfortune to everyone in his path. However, Sonic was unaware that Larry was also a member of a covert freedom fighter organization known by the codename Joker. Naruto questioned, who the heck are you? Tazuna shouted, Inari. Where have you been? As he took off his sandals, the Larry impersonator, now known as Inari, said, welcome home, OG.san. Inari, greet our guests properly. They're esteemed ninja who brought our grandfather safely home, Tsunami responded. Inari pointed to the ninja and remarked, but Okawa.san, they're all gonna die. Naruto shouted, listen, you little twerp. According to Inari, no one can beat Gato and his men. Naruto was about to go and give the young lynx a hard time when Sonic stopped him. You brat, he cried. This is what the blue hedgehog said. Whoa, easy there, big guy. Hey, pay attention, little guy. I'm a super hero who'll someday become the most extreme ninja. My name will be Hokage. Gato? This guy's named? Cake. You can't seriously expect me to be afraid of that. Naruto yelled, which caused Inari to s. Hero. You're stupid. That doesn't exist, Inari remarked. Nah. Nani? Exclaimed Naruto. Inari walked to a door after saying, go home now if you don't want to die. Tazuna said, where are you off to, Inari? As he slid the door open, Inari said, I'm going to watch the ocean from my room, before entering and slamming the door. As he released Naruto, Sonic questioned, what's that kid's deal, anyway? Tazuna said, please forgive him. Soon after, Naruto muttered to himself, where'd that little brat go? I'm gonna give him such a hit, as he made his way through the hallway and up the stairs to Inari's room. But as he got to the door, he could hear sobbing coming from beyond. Daddy, Inari exclaimed, and Naruto returned to the ground, his face solemn. The following day, The forest using 2 crickets to support himself, Kakashi stated, so, it's decided. The new training regimen begins today. As he, Sonic, Sakura, and Sasuke stood before the disabled chameleon, Naruto yelled, yeah. But first let's discuss the basis of your ninja powers, the body energies known as chakra. Kakashi responded. Sonic inquired, so, what's chakra, again? Sakura pointed at him and screamed, and you call yourself a ninja? Did you sleep through every class you took? Sonic answered, I didn't take any classes. Kakashi thought, I feared as much, and then he gestured for Sakura to clarify everything. When she finished her explanation, he said, that's correct. Yeah, well. I'm not really that good with lengthy explanations. Just show me how it's done, and I'll learn, Sonic replied. Sonic's right. We all already employ the ninja arts and techniques, Sasuke replied. Wrong. None of you yet has full mastery of your chakra, Kakashi replied. Nani? Exclaimed Naruto. Now, listen. As Sakura said, manipulation of chakra refers to summoning physical and mental energies and combing them with your own body. Depending on which jutsu you wish to employ, the amount of energy you'd need to absorb would vary, as would the make-up of elements you'd need to combine. Right now, none of you are using your chakra effectively. No matter how great the amount of chakra you summon and manipulate, if you can't maintain your balance, whatever the jutsu, not only will the effectiveness of your maneuver be cut in half, but you could blunder so badly the jutsu may not be released at all. And because you end up squandering your chakra, you not only lack the stamina for a protracted fight, but you also develop significant vulnerabilities. Kakashi continued. Sonic said, so what do we do? You learn to control your body through the harshest training. Go out on a limb, and learn from the experience, replied Kakashi. Sakura said, how do we do that? Kakashi, how? We climb trees. Climb trees? Shouted Sakura and Naruto. Kakashi remarked, that's right. Getting stronger from climbing trees sounds legit. Besides, I've heard and seen weirder things, Sonic replied. Naruto thought, what a waste of time. Sakura questioned, how would that qualify as training? Listen up, you four. This won't be any normal tree climbing. You're not allowed to use your hands, Kakashi stated. That seems like a lot of fun, excitedly, Naruto thought. Sakura's eyes narrowed as she asked, how? Sonic said, please. I've been doing that for years. Kakashi looked at the blue hedgehog and said, or your speed. He then formed a hand and sang, now, watch. Next, he approached a tree, walked up its side, and then stepped out onto the underside of one of its branches, making himself stand upside down. According to Naruto, he's climbing, with his legs and feet parallel to the ground, said Sakura. Sonic said, okay, now that's way past cool. That's it, in a nutshell. Focus all of the chakra toward the soles of your feet and use that power to cling to the trunk. When you have full mastery over your own chakra, this is the kind of thing you can accomplish, Kakashi concluded. But, Kakashi Sensei, how will learning to climb trees make us any stronger? Sakura inquired. Kakashi stated, I'm just getting to that. Listen and learn, before going into detail about how the tree climbing activity would help them develop their unique abilities. Now, no more talk. It's time for action. The only way to learn is by doing, he said following the clarification prior to throwing 4 kunai to the genin. Use the kunai to score the bark at the highest point you can climb to. It will serve as a reminder for later. Your goal is to make a mark on a higher spot each time you climb. I don't expect any of you to reach the tree top on your first try. A running start will probably give enough momentum for a good first effort, all right? Naruto pointed to Kakashi and exclaimed, I'm the fastest developing ninja on this team, as he and the others picked up the kunai. No sweat, I could do this one before breakfast. Before the 4 of them made the same hand sign he had made earlier and started running toward the trees. That is, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, Kakashi said. Less talk and more action. Choose your trees and up you go. Sonic was still attempting to summon chakra. Sasuke climbed a little but was pushed back by the tree's own energy because he exerted too much force, and Naruto fell off as soon as he touched the trunk. However, Sakura was sitting on a branch and had made it all the way up to the 3/4 mark. Wow. You're right there, Sakura, Chan, that's my girl, Naruto exclaimed. Sakura hung her head and thought, I wanted to impress Sasuke-kun, but the only one who cared, just like always, was Naruto. Well, understanding the use of one's chakra and manipulating them successfully is quite an achievement so far. Sakura is probably the one closest to overtaking our leader, Hokage Sama, despite all of Naruto's boasts and aspirations, and the finest hope of Clan Uchiha doesn't seem too impressive, either. Kakashi continued. Sakura pointed at Kakashi and shouted, Kakashi, Sensei, how could you? Thinking, Sasuke-kun is going to hate me. On the other hand, Sakura's chakra is nothing compared to the vast, untapped reserves that Naruto and Sasuke both possess. We should be able to access those extensive resources by the end of this lesson, if everything goes according to plan. Kakashi thought, then turned to face Sonic. Sonic on the other hand, seems to have trouble channeling his chakra. Then he noticed something. As Sonic attempted to summon chakra, a green light began to suddenly emanate from his body. In his mind, he saw a bottomless well of green energy appear out of nowhere, causing his eyes to snap open. The green energy then exploded in his face, sending him flying into a nearby tree behind him. Naruto rushed to the hedgehog and said, Sonic, are you alright? Sonic stood up and said, yeah, don't worry about it. Well, that's odd. That energy, what was it? It certainly wasn't natural energy, nor was it chakra. What exactly are you concealing, Sonic? Kakashi pondered while he studied the hedgehog. However, none of them realized that Inari was watching them from behind a tree before leaving with the thought, their time is being wasted. On the morning of the 6th training day, Naruto was still holding the kunai in his hand while he lay unconscious in the middle of the forest. Tazuna had just told them the tale of Inari's foster father and mentioned that, although it had stopped after his foster father's passing, Inari used to bring misfortune to everyone in his vicinity. Naruto departed to continue his training after that, and he did so until he passed out from exhaustion. In the meantime, the fox girl who was assisting Zabuza was gathering herbs in the forest. She glanced at the small bird that had landed on her shoulder before it took off in the direction of the sleeping two-tailed fox, and the girl quickly recognized him. She walked up to him and put her hand to his neck, giving the impression that she was going to kill him, but instead she shook him awake. You'll catch your death of cold, sleeping on the ground, she replied. Huh? Naruto asked, glancing at her before sitting up and blushing. Who are you? He asked. In another part of the forest right now, Sonic was perched on a branch, leaning back against a tree's bark, and he appeared to be thinking deeply about something, quite unusual for him. There haven't seemed to be any threats that these guys would need my assistance to defeat, aside from that Kodo's impersonator. After thinking about the time he had tried to call forth his chakra, he recalled, and what's more, it seems that I can't use this chakra thing that everyone else has. For my part, I wish that voice I heard in my head when I first came here would explain a few things to me, like why exactly I'm here. Naturally, I can fight just fine without it, but what really irritates me is the green energy I noticed. What was it? He placed his hand on his forehead and said, all of this thinking is giving me a headache. It felt like the energies found in the Chaos Emeralds. He ran in that general direction, wondering what it was, when he suddenly noticed a flash of red light behind some trees in the distance. His eyes widened as he landed on a branch. A strange red crystalline orb was visible on the ground. What is that? Sonic thought that before a wave of red energy erupted out of it in all directions. The blue hedgehog closed his eyes and held his arms out in front of him as if to defend himself, but the energy simply flowed through him without harm. Upon opening his eyes once more and lowering his arms, he saw that the red orb had vanished, replaced by an odd red ring with a flame burning continuously in the center hole. Additionally, he noticed other identical rings strewn about the area when he looked around. What was that? Even though that energy was completely different, it felt a lot like the Chaos Emeralds. It's almost like the Sol Emeralds and the Secret Rings, he thought before he leapt to his feet and approached the ring. Anyway, I better tell Kakashi about this to hear his thoughts. He might know something I don't. He then picked up the ring to show it as proof and in the hopes of identifying what it was. Alongside Naruto lifted some weeds from the ground and placed them in the basket, asking, are these grasses and weeds really medicinal? The female fox said, I'm sorry to have imposed on you. That's some job you took on, girl, harvesting all that this early in the morning, said Naruto. The Fiona impersonator said, look at who's talking. What were you doing in the middle of nowhere at the crack of dawn? The first thing Naruto said was, training. Really? That Hite.8 you're wearing, are you some kind of ninja? The girl responded. Naruto grinned and said, yup, as his left hand scratched the back of his head and he flushed. Naruto laughed when the girl said, wow, that's incredible. Then the girl asked, what are you training for? Naruto stated, to build up my strength. The girl remarked, but you already look so strong and manly. Nope. Wrong. I need to be a lot stronger than this, Naruto replied. According to the girl, but why, to become the top fox in my hometown. All the people who used to treat me like dirt will have to say, he's the #1 ninja. And right at the moment, I kind of have to prove a point to a certain person I know, Naruto stated. Are you doing this for the sake of that person, or for your own satisfaction? The young lady responded. Naruto blushed and the girl giggled, saying, the first one, I guess. What's so funny? He asked in a slightly apprehensive tone. The girl inquired, do you have anyone special in your life? Naruto asked, blushing a little more intensely, what are you getting at? When people are protecting something truly precious to them, they truly can become as strong as they must be, the child replied. Yup. I know all about it, revealed Naruto, grinning broadly. After grinning, the girl got up and turned around as she began to leave, saying, you will get stronger. I know we'll meet again. When Sasuke arrived and passed the girl, Naruto said, right. The girl kept walking. The home of Tazuna Kakashi looked at the ring on the table, the flame pointing straight up, as it seemed to do regardless of the angle at which they held it. You say that this ring along with many others just appeared out of nowhere after the stone vanished? He asked. As Sakura held one of her fingers over the flame, Sonic remarked, yeah, I've never seen anything like it. Before turning to face Tazuna, she confirmed, that's strange. It's not warm. Has anything like this ever happened before? She asked. The elderly lynx remarked, no, not that I'm aware of. Now that I think about it, it kind of reminds me of an old legend my sensei once told me, Kakashi replied. What legend? Inquired Sonic. Everyone started to perspire when Kakashi uttered the words, I don't remember it very well. Sonic walked to the door and said, anyway, I'm going out for a run, see y'all later. The following day as he and Sakura were in the area of the forest where they trained, Kakashi inquired, where did Naruto go this time, pushing himself beyond his limit, going out by himself again last night. Just before a kunai struck the ground in front of them, Sakura remarked, and at breakfast time, Sasuke.kun says he's going for a walk, and he disappears, too. When they looked up, they saw Naruto lying on a branch high in the tree. The Amy impersonator exclaimed, Naruto can climb all the way up there, before thinking, amazing. Naruto climbed to his feet after saying, heh. Look at how high I can go now. However, as he planted his left foot on the branch, it slipped, causing him to say, whu. Oh. You baka! Exclaimed Sakura. Kakashi remarked, no, if he falls from that height, as Naruto appeared to fall off the branch and slide to its underside, his feet clinging to the bark. Gotcha! Shouted Naruto. Sakura's inner self added, Shaw, I'm gonna kill you for this, later, as she screamed, you almost gave me a heart attack, you ass. But then, as Kakashi's visible eye widened, Naruto's feet abruptly released the branch, sending the fox tumbling to the ground. Sakura screamed, oi, twice is too much, Naruto. Stop messing around. Naruto attempted to fly by spinning his tails as he fell, but his training had expended too much energy. Then, grabbing one of Naruto's tails, Sasuke emerged on the underside of the branch. His words were, you loser. Yes, Sasuke.kun saves the day. He gives me shivers, said Sakura. Kakashi thought, well, they're coming along nicely. Sonic, who was standing behind Kakashi, remarked, now that was a close one. Without looking back, Kakashi inquired, and how long were you standing there? The others were unaware of the conversation. After a brief pause, Sonic asked, have you figured out anything about it yet? Oh, I got here just now. Other than there seeming to be some strange power emanating from it. No, but you already knew that, didn't you? Replied Kakashi. Heh. Yeah, I guess. I've been in contact with so many magical objects by now that I've developed a sixth sense for the things, Sonic replied. In response, Kakashi said, Really? Do tell. Sonic stated, I'd rather not. Kakashi pulled out the ring and said, Well, at any rate, I don't think I'll find out much more about this thing. So why don't you take it? Sonic grabbed it and said, Hey. Sure thing. That evening. Standing atop the second tallest tree in the forest, Sasuke questioned, Want to head back? As he clung to the top of the forest's tallest tree, Naruto said, Sure. The home of Tazuna. As Naruto and Sasuke entered, Tazuna remarked, So, you're finally back, looking like something the cat dragged in. Hey, both of us, we made it to the top of the tree, said Naruto. Good. Naruto, Sasuke, starting tomorrow, you two can help Sakura protect Tazuna-san. Kakashi replied. Kurama no Kyuubi. In case you were wondering, Kakashi didn't bring up Sonic in this passage because the hedgehog is scouting the nation for Gado's base and any indications of Zabuza. Before they sat down at the table, Naruto and Sasuke both said, Yes, sir. Phew. Well, I'm dirty, sweaty, and real worn out from all of the work on the bridge today. But construction is almost complete, Tazuna replied. Father, you and Naruto are two of a kind. Please don't work yourselves to death, Tsunami replied. Tazuna replied, Yep. Tears began to form in Inari's eyes and then flow down his cheeks as he glanced at Naruto, who was seated across from him. He recalled some of the things his foster father had said. Before Inari got up and slammed his hands on the table, Naruto questioned, What's wrong? Why do you wear yourself out trying? No matter how hard you train, you'll never be a match for Gado's thugs. You act all cool, and you talk all tough. But big, strong guys like that are always too much for people weaker than they are. They'll destroy you, he barked. Naruto said, Shut up. I'm not you, and I'm not gonna lose. Just watching you ticks me off. You go running your mouth when you don't know a thing. This isn't your town, and you don't know a thing about me. You're always clowning around and having fun. You don't know a thing about suffering or loneliness or what my life is like, Inari screamed. So, you figure it's noble to star in a melodrama and treat everyone around you like guests at your pity party? It takes a really big man to sit around and cry, You brat. You big baby. Naruto then got up and left. Sakura shouted, Naruto. You went too far. Soon after, Sonic came up behind Inari, who was sitting at the edge of the wooden planks outside. Before he sat down beside Inari, he asked, Mind if I sit down? You know, I haven't known Naruto for all that long, but from what I can gather he grew up without either a father or a mother or has a single friend. He said, appealing to the young lynx's interest, and in the little time I've known him, I've never seen him cry, not once. I guess he must have just gotten fed up with crying one day. He understands fully well what it means to be strong. He knows what it costs and what it's worth just as your father did. Naruto probably understands you better than even you yourself do. What? Inquired the Larry impersonator. He can't leave you alone because you've gotten under his skin, Sonic replied. The following day as he, Sasuke, and Sakura departed with Tazuna, Kakashi remarked, Please take care of Naruto. He's worn himself out. I doubt he'll be able to move for the rest of the day. When the old lynx told his daughter, We're off, Tsunami. His daughter said, Bye. Afterwards Naruto woke up and exclaimed, Nanda? I slept? Before turning to face Tsunami and Inari in the room. Hey. Hello? Where'd everybody go? He asked. Before Naruto rushed off and threw off his pajamas and put on his jumpsuit, Tsunami exclaimed, Oh, Naruto. What are you doing up? Kakashi-san wanted you to take today off. He sprinted for the door and exclaimed, I'm outta here. Ooh, I knew it. First chance they get, they leave me behind. Alongside Sonic right now, Sonic was running along the trees and branches, pausing occasionally to look at the ground, but as he kept running, he caught a glimpse of something. He said, Wait a second, and then rushed to a dead boar that appeared to have been sliced by something. He also saw multiple gashes on the trees that led back to Tazuna's house. Naruto exclaimed, Oi, Sonic, before settling down beside Sonic. Then he became aware of the boar and the tree marks, saying, "Hey, it looks like someone is on their way to Tazuna-san's house." With his arms crossed, Sonic remarked, "Yeah, that's what I figured." Naruto glanced at the hedgehog and said, "Think they could be Gado's thugs?" Before turning around and running away, Sonic said, "Probably. But I've got a hunch that they won't be much of a threat. I'm gonna head on over to the bridge to see if everyone's alright." Naruto exclaimed, "Ah, hey, wait for me," before he spun his tails to follow the blue blur into the air. Bridge with all of the bridge workers lying half dead in front of them, Tazuna cried out, "What happened? What happened? What could have?" He then charged at one of the employees. Monsters, is what the employee said. "It's not possible," Kakashi thought. The home of Tazuna, two of Gado's thugs were outside their home when Tsunami said, "Inari, could you please help me do the laundry?" As both thugs grinned, Inari said, "Okay, Mom, but I'm in the bathroom now." Bridge. Then a fog began to roll across the bridge. "The mist," Kakashi thought, then exclaimed, "They're coming." The chameleon thought, "I was right," and they formed a manji. He returned to complete the task after surviving. Sakura said, "Kakashi Sensei, is this that man we met, his Kirigakure no jutsu, isn't it?" As Sasuke began to shake, but not out of fear. "Been a while, Kakashi, and I see you've got those brats tagging along, just like last time. And the little boy is trembling again, poor thing," Zabuza said over the fog, just before a swarm of Mizu Bunshins suddenly materialized, encircling them and even one in the center of the formation. Sasuke declared, "I'm trembling with anticipation for a rematch." Kakashi commanded, "Go ahead, Sasuke." Before the human eye could follow, Sasuke had annihilated every clone, sending them splashing into the water. Zabuza made his appearance along with the Fiona lookalike, who was once again wearing her mask. "Well, my Mizu Bunshins were obviously no match for you. It seems the brats have matured quite a bit into worthy rivals, eh, Haku?" Zabuza said. She replied, "Indeed. Looks like I was right. Our masked friend is playing on Zabuza's team," Kakashi replied. Sakura shouted, "She has the nerve, showing up like this. That was quite a show you put on before, but we're on to you now, and I hate ham actors." Sasuke declared, turning to face Haku, "This one's mine." Sakura exclaimed, "Sasuke. Kun's so cool," as she gazed at the male hedgehog, her eyes turning into hearts. Kakashi reflected, Sakura questions everything Naruto says or does, but she takes Sasuke at face value, without question. Impressive kid, isn't he? Even if your Mizu Bunshins have only a tenth of the strength of the originals, it's amazing he was able to do so well, Haku replied. Zabuza exclaimed, "But we're still on the offensive, go." As she vanished in a whirl of leaves and reappeared right in front of Sasuke to swing a senbon at him, he blocked it with a kunai. "Yes, sir," Haku said. The home of Tazuna, one of the two thugs appeared to be a crabmeat, while the other one resembled a slicer, as they broke down the door. Looking at Tsunami, the crabmeat remarked, "Old man Tazuna's daughter, huh? Sorry, but you're coming with us." Meanwhile, Inari was cleaning his hands in the restroom when he heard someone scream. As Tsunami and the two robots stood in front of her, the female lynx crawled back towards the kitchen section of the room. Inari shouted, "Ka-san," as he entered the room. The slicer said, "What do you want, brat? Run, Inari. Don't come in," Tsunami yelled. The slicer said, "Should we grab him, too?" Inari flinched as the crabmeat said, "We only need one hostage." Hostage? He pondered. The slicer prepared to hurl one of his blade-like arms at the young lynx and remarked, "Heh heh. Too bad, for him. Wait. If you dare touch my child, I'll bite through my tongue and drown in my own blood." "Then what will you do for a live hostage?" Tsunami responded. The crabmeat said, "Hey, be grateful to your ma, kiddo." The slicer uttered, "Aw, man, but I'm dying to cut someone." Before they escorted Tsunami out of there, the crabmeat said, "Relax. You gave your slicers a pretty good workout before we even got here. So get over it, and let's go." Inari broke down in tears and fell to his knees. "Okawa-san, I'm so sorry. I'm a weak little crybaby. I'm afraid I can't save you." He thought, "I don't want to die, but then he recalled Naruto's words. "You big baby." After that, he recalled more of what Naruto had said, then some of what Sonic had said, and finally a comment made by his foster father. "If something is precious to you, protect it with all the strength you've got, even at the risk of your own life. Everyone else is so awesome, so cool, and strong," he thought, before breaking down in tears as he stood up and balled his fists. Could I be strong too, Daddy?" he asked himself. The slicer stated, heh, such beautiful skin. So smooth and lovely. It's a shame I'm not to be able to cut it," while guiding Tsunami across the wooden platform with the crab meat. As he approached from behind, Inari yelled, "Wait," and they turned around. "Inari!" shouted Tsunami. The slicer said, "Well, looky there. The brat came back." "Yes, I can." As he shouted, "You get away from my mama," Inari pondered. The slicer remarked, "Geez, this kid is a waste of space." According to the crab meat, "So cut him," the slicer said, "Yeah," as he prepared to hurl his slicers at the young lynx. "Inari!" shouted Tsunami. But before the slicer could hurl his lethal blades, there was a loud crack beneath both his and the crab meat's feet. As they looked down, they noticed that the wooden planks beneath them were breaking, seemingly unable to support the weight of the robots. The two robots then plummeted into the water with a splash as the planks gave way. After falling backward onto his butt, Inari gazed in wonder at the opening in the wooden platform where the thugs had been standing only moments before. "Did I do that?" he pondered. Bridge Zabuza saw that Haku and Sasuke were at a standstill and remarked, "He can keep up with Haku's speed." "Sakura. We have to cover Tazuna-san. Take that side, and stay close. Let Sasuke handle Haku," Kakashi responded. Sakura said, "Yes, sir. I don't want to have to kill you, but you probably won't leave quietly, will you?" Haku replied. Sasuke's response was, "Don't be stupid, just as I thought. However, you won't be able to match my speed for long, and I've laid the ground work for 2 attacks, Haku replied. 2 attacks, had asked Sasuke. Before weaving a series of hand signals with just her left hand, Haku explained, "First, there's the water splashed all around us. Secondly, I've trapped one of your hands with parrying this move, which leaves you only one hand free to defend yourself from my attacks." She's using just one hand too, Sasuke thought, startled. Is she using only one hand to make signs? It's unlike anything I've ever seen, Kakashi thought. Haku yelled the name of her method, Hayaten, Sensatsu Suisho, and the water around them rose into the air, creating an infinite number of ice-based needles. "So, I don't want to have to kill you," Zabuza pondered. "I wonder if she truly means that." Sasuke-kun! exclaimed Sakura. Sasuke then directed as much chakra as he could into his feet as the needles flew in the direction of the black hedgehog. He then leapt into the air in time to avoid getting pierced by the needles as they struck each other and transformed back into water. Haku, who had jumped backwards just in time to avoid the needles herself, skidded to a stop and asked no one in particular, "Where did he?" But then she saw something overhead, and she leapt back to avoid the shuriken that Sasuke had hurled at her. "You call that speed? Huh? I'll show you true speed," was not the voice she heard behind her as she skidded to a stop once more. A punch to the side of Haku's head sent her flying as she glanced over her shoulder to see who it was. She regained her balance in midair and landed in a crouch. She turned to face the attacker and saw that it was none other than Sonic the Hedgehog. She could tell without looking that Sasuke was standing behind her. Sasuke glared at Sonic and exclaimed, "Hey, don't go butting into my fight," before continuing. Yeah, whatever. Look, I've been doing those boring patrol missions this whole week, so I need to vent some steam. So is it all right if I just borrow her for a little while?" Sonic replied. Sasuke snorted, "TCH. Fine, but only for a minute." Sonic exclaimed, "Great, now then," before rushing in Haku's direction. As she was about to pull out multiple senbon, the ice using Fox reacted swiftly by leaping into the air, but Sonic sped past her and kicked her back, sending her back down to the bridge. Then, as she got to her feet, she saw the blue hedgehog flash before her in a flash of speed, punch her in the stomach, and then kick her roundhouse to send her flying. Sonic chased after her flying form, then rolled into a ball and shot himself straight at her, causing her to crash into the bridge railing. Then Haku was hanging off the edge as the blue blur hit the ground. Nani? Is Haku genuinely losing a race against speed? Shocked, Zabuza thought. You don't know much about Sonic, do you? Kurama no Kyubi? Hey. Sorry, I tried holding back as not to damage the bridge too much, but I guess it was still too much, huh? Sonic replied. Then Haku yanked herself up so hard that she took off and landed behind the blue hedgehog. And now it's over. She held up a senbon in a whisper too low for anyone to hear, but she was just about to stop when Sonic punched her in the stomach again, sending her reeling backwards before she stopped in front of her master. Approaching his fellow hedgehog, Sasuke said, "All right, your time is up." Sonic remarked, "Ah, but it was just starting to get fun." Haku, do you understand, if this goes on, you could end up dying at the hands of the very person you sought to spare? Replied Zabuza. Haku stood up and said, "Yes, I do, what a pity." Sonic felt the temperature drop sharply and asked, "Hey, why'd it get so cold all of a sudden?" Then, as she exclaimed, "Hayatan, Makio Hyosho," Haku made a hand gesture. Suddenly, a number of ice mirrors emerged from the water on the bridge, encircling Sonic and Sasuke. I'm not familiar with this jutsu, Kakashi pondered. After that, Haku entered one of the mirrors, and her image was seen in every other mirror. When Kakashi realized that the two hedgehogs were in danger, he charged in the direction of the mirrors, but Zabuza stopped him. Let's not forget, I'm your enemy. Our children can play together, while my boy kills both of yours, he replied. Thought Kakashi. Mirrors made of ice. Haku began, now that it's all in place. Sonic inquired, what are these mirrors for? Don't know, but I think we should get ready for anything, Sasuke replied. Before launching into a torrent of senbon that seemed to come from all sides, Haku concluded her previous sentence, let me show you some real speed. However, Sonic easily avoided any senbon thrown at him because Sasuke was hit at every turn. Sasuke, Sonic, exclaimed Kakashi, hearing the former's agonized screams. Zabuza declared, any sudden moves and I'll kill those other two. Gomen Nasai, Tazuna.san, but I'm going to have to leave you for just a little bit, Sakura replied. As Sakura charged forward, drawing out a kunai and hurling it at one of the mirrors, the old lynx said, go ahead. I'll be fine. However, Haku's upper body appeared from the mirror, and she grabbed it. She got it, before Naruto abruptly materialized and struck Haku on the side of the head with his twin tails, sending his fellow fox flying out of the mirror, Sakura pondered. After saying, Uzumaki Naruto at your service, the Tails impersonator continued, here I am, to save the day. You know how the story goes. Things look bleak, until the hero arrives, and then, pow, bye bad. Guys. He then spun his tails to hover in the air. An annoying little. An ambush was what we needed. Rather, he essentially makes himself a target, Kakashi thought. Naruto. Cried Sakura. Very talkative, Sasuke thought. Hey. I couldn't have expressed it more clearly, Sonic thought, but he forgot who the true hero is. HMPH. Another brat, Haku threw several senbon after the two-tailed fox had gotten up on her knees, and Zabuza threw several shuriken at her after thinking this while grinning beneath his mask. This is it, as he prepared himself, Naruto thought, but then the senbon struck the shuriken, and the two attacks cancelled each other out. Zabuza said, Haku, what are you doing? Zabuza. Sama, please let me have this boy. I want to fight him in my own way. Haku replied. So, you want me to keep my hands off him, Haku? How charmingly naive of you, as usual, said Zabuza. Is she naive? Yes, exactly. Look at me, I feel like 1,000 needles are cutting me to ribbons. However, all of the cuts are superficial. Before turning to face Sonic, Sasuke thought, she's killing me by inches, saving the vital targets, and the death blow, for later. Yet, he's not been hit by any of the needles at all. How could he have escaped them all with such speed? If only I could figure out what jutsu she's using, he said, turning to face the ice mirrors. Her bunchins all lurk in the mirrors before striking at once. He doesn't even move, in my opinion. He hits before I can see the trajectory of his weapons. The ice mirrors are somehow involved in this, but I'm not sure what their significance is, so it can't just be the Bunshin no Jutsu. The mirrors must hold the secret to whatever is happening. It appears that our only option is to focus on this battle and have faith in Naruto to liberate us from the outside. Naruto appeared directly in front of the Black Hedgehog and exclaimed, "Yo, Sasuke. I'm here to rescue the two of you. Why you doofus? No stealth, no caution, and you call yourself a ninja? Now that you've gotten yourself trapped in here with us, just do what you want. I don't really care," Sasuke screamed. Naruto retorted, "Oh, fine, I went through hell to rescue you, and this is the thanks I get?" Attracting the two's attention, Sonic said, "Hey, guys. How about less arguing and more trying to find a way out of here?" Before turning to face Zabuza, Kakashi thought, leave it to Naruto. Once he starts helping, things go from bad to worse. If I go to help Naruto, Sasuke, and Sonic, Tazuna.san will be completely exposed, but I can't just leave the boys, but at the first sign of a Kage Bunshin from me, he'll counter with his Mizu Bunshins. I'd just be squandering my chakra. I just hope that Sonic can get them out. Meanwhile, the two hedgehogs and one fox turned to watch Haku as she stepped back into one of her mirrors. As he began to draw a kunai, Sasuke thought, so that's it, her real body's over there. From a mirror behind him, the female fox said, "Over here." His eyes widened as one of the Fiona lookalikes Senbons gave him a fresh cut on his right cheek. As he made a series of hand signals, the shadow impersonator thought, looks like destroying all the mirrors may be our only hope. "Hey, how are you?" Naruto inquired. "Lil buddy, get yourself together." While Sasuke completed the hand sign sequence, Sonic issued a warning, bracing himself for the impending assault. Kaden. Gukakyo no Jutsu. These are ice mirrors, so, as he spat a massive ball of fire in the direction of the mirrors, he yelled the jutsu's name, but neither the mirrors nor the dent were melted. "It didn't work," Naruto exclaimed, startled. Haku continued her volley, which Sonic was the only one able to avoid, saying, "That pathetic flame will barely touch my ice mirrors." Naruto pondered, "Where's the real one? Where's the attack coming from? They don't feel like Bunshins, so then what are they?" "The truth will never be visible to your eyes," Haku declared, "I can't be caught." "You mean it can't be caught?" Smiling from his current position in mid-air, Sonic said this before rolling into a ball and shooting into the mirror that Haku was in. However, it was too difficult, and he fell back to his teammates on the ground, landing on his feet. "That ice is denser than I anticipated, man." He rubbed the bruise he had sustained on his forehead from the impact with the mirror and remarked, "Really, I've punched through steel walls with less density than that. These mirrors cannot be broken." As she pondered, how could that blue hedgehog possibly know which mirror I'm in? Could it just be a lucky guess? You can't get out? "That's right, huh?" Sonic said, "Then I suggest you look down and say that again." Haku looked down before her eyes widened behind her mask. Her abdomen had developed spider-web cracks that appeared to be ready to break with a single solid blow. "That's her actual body, Naruto." His yellow, furred teammate imitated Sasuke's exclamation as he withdrew a kunai. "Yosha." The fox blasted out of the mirror in a burst of speed before she entered another mirror, but Sonic followed her every step. Naruto yelled, and the two of them threw their respective kunai towards Haku. When she said, "The jutsu I'm using is part of the Shunshin, and the only tool I need to perform it is the mirrors that hold my image," she was thinking, "He does know where I am. He can somehow see my movements, but that should be impossible." She glanced at Sonic at the final line. "I move so fast, the three of you might as well be standing still, or at least that's how it should have been." With the others, including Kakashi. "Now I see," Kakashi spoke, grabbing everyone's attention. "I never imagined that anyone so young could master such a technique." "A technique like that?" Sakura inquired. "It's a genetic characteristic known as Kekkei Genkai that runs through the bloodlines of the purest shinobi. On that basis alone, some of the most exceptional jutsu are passed down from generation to generation," Kakashi explained. Sakura began, "You mean, the skill level is exactly the same as my Sharingan?" However, Kakashi remarked, "Not even my Sharingan can imitate, replicate, or destroy this girl's Kekkei Genkai." Mirrors made of ice. Before his eyes widened in realization, Sonic thought, "The cracks I made on that mirror are a clear indication that I can break through them, but not in one go. Arg, if I only had a power ring." He glanced down towards his weapons pouch, which he had even though he was not carrying any weapons, and asked himself, I wonder if this cannot be how it ends. Haku recalled some of the things the male fox had said to her when they first met when Naruto said, I have a dream to fulfill. I find it challenging to fully adopt the shinobi philosophy. It would be better if none of you three made me kill you. But if the three of you attack me, I will use my blade to kill my own heart and behave like a true shinobi. All of our hopes and futures hang on a precarious precipice, and this bridge is the intersection of our destinies. Just as you have your dreams, so do I try not to be angry with me, but I will stop at nothing to protect the person I love the most, fight, kill, or die to make him or her happy. My own dream is to do so. I will kill you all and turn into a true shinobi in order to achieve that, Haku declared. With the others, including Kakashi, Kun Sasuke, Naruto, Sonic, you wouldn't dare lose to someone like him, Sakura shouted. The pink hedgehog turned to face Kakashi, who said, Stop encouraging them, Sakura. Even if we knew how to counter her jutsu, your teammates wouldn't be up to the task of defeating that boy. What are you saying? Sakura inquired, which made Zabuza chuckle. Those three lack the mental fortitude to freeze their hearts and kill someone. That girl has experienced the kind of mental turmoil that makes her a shinobi. A village such as yours, a place of peace and weakness, could never produce a true shinobi. You don't grow up having to kill to survive, or you don't live with death. Those abilities, and the mentality they demand, die stillborn in you, the lion remarked. What are we going to do, Kakashi? Sensei? After Sakura inquired, Kakashi raised his hand to his Hite.8. You'll forgive me if I put an end to this, he replied. Hey. Will you employ the Sharingan? What a crass move. So lacking in finesse, so obvious, Zabuza remarked. Then, with a dagger drawn, Zabuza charged at Kakashi, who deflected it with the palm of his right hand. You can make all the jokes you want about my lack of finesse, Zabuza, but it won't make your fear of the Sharingan go away, and of myself, Kakashi uttered. Heh. A ninja's secret weapon should be employed judiciously, not displayed at random to every foe you face, Zabuza replied. You ought to feel fortunate. Nobody else has survived to witness the Sharingan twice. Kakashi added, and nobody will ever see it 3 times. Heh, if you can, please beat me, Zabuza remarked, you still won't have what it takes to kill Haku. Sensei, Sakura thought in shock, that masked girl is so powerful that even Kakashi Sensei can't win. I've taught her how to fight since she was a cub. She has consistently triumphed, even in the face of unimaginable hardship. She has become a killing machine and a true shinobi, with no regard for her own life. She is more skilled than I am. She also carries the powerful legacy of an inherited Kekkei Genkai within herself. Zabuza pulled the dagger from Kakashi's hand and said, Therefore, I have forged and carried with me a weapon of unparalleled quality and skill, completely unlike the scraps of trash that follow at your heels. What could be more boring than hearing someone else boast? Time for the show. As he raised his Hite.8, the chameleon spoke. Now that I've caught my breath, maybe you could wait a little while. And allow me to boast one more time, to use your own phrase. At our last meeting, you said something really lovely. To be honest, I've been dying to take it. The phrase, just so you know, the same spell won't work on my twice, or something similar. Now that I've had an opportunity to witness it in action, I have a complete understanding of your Sharingan's arcane operations. The humiliating defeat I allowed you to inflict on me was only one aspect of our previous battle. Haku, who was hiding close by, watched and researched every facet of our battle from start to finish. Haku is incredibly smart. She interprets seeing a jutsu as analyzing and comprehending it. And now, Kirigakure no Jutsu. Zabuza thought, before adding, and with understanding, she can develop effective counter measures. Then a dense fog rolled across the bridge, blocking out everything, including Zabuza, from Kakashi's view. Sakura, he said, I'm depending on you to keep Tazuna.san safe. He's right. I need to trust Sasuke.kun and focus on my tasks. The Amy, like individual thought. Before Sakura materialized right in front of him, Tazuna thought, where the hell is this fog coming from? You can't see your hand in front of your face. Tazuna.san, his energy is blazing through the atmosphere. Be by my side, she uttered those words. "All right, Sakura," explained the elderly lynx. Kakashi thought, "This fog is too thick for the Kirigakure. Even Zabuza won't be able to see anything through it." Then he noticed something, and he swiftly used a kunai to deflect several shuriken. "But the next time you see me, it will still be the end," Zabuza said from behind Kakashi, eyes closed. "You repelled those nicely, no less than I'd expect from Sharingan no Kakashi." As he turned around, Kakashi thought, "His eyes are closed." Zabuza said, "Lost once more in the fog, you've overestimated the value of your Sharingan." "Nani?" Kakashi inquired before Zabuza gave a thorough explanation of the Sharingan's operation. The explanation was followed by his statement, "With my own eyes closed, I eliminate the possibility of your hypnotizing me while we're in close proximity. But then, while I can't use my eyes, neither can you," Kakashi replied. "You forget that I received my training in Serento Kiringu, though. My ability to hunt by sound alone is what makes me brilliant," Zabuza remarked. "Kuso, I have been so worried about Naruto, Sasuke, and Sonic that I hadn't thought about it. How long has it been since I had to fight in such unfavorable conditions? And I've got to calm down, stay smart. Who will he target next?" Kakashi thought before his eyes widened in realization and he turned around, saying, "E." As Zabuza emerged behind Tazuna and pulled out his enormous sword, Sakura saw him in time and pushed Tazuna to the ground and out of the way, but she was left vulnerable as Zabuza's sword swung toward her. She raised her arms in front of her face to protect herself, but then a light suddenly appeared, leaving a large hammer in her hand that, despite being made of wood, blocked the enormous sword. Mirrors made of ice before taking out the ring he had discovered earlier, Sonic thought, "I just hope that this works." "What's that?" Haku wondered. Then Sonic yelled, "Ring, give me your power," while holding the ring above his head. Sonic was engulfed in flames when the ring suddenly began to glow before entering his body. His fur appeared to have been set on fire, and a black ring appeared on his stomach. His pupils turned red, his irises turned yellow, and the sclera of his eyes turned coal black.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.